Yes. Yeah. Right. Right, right. Like,
Okay, thank you for coming. We'll call this March meeting to order and we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Sure, Supervisor Hewitt,
Here.
Trustee Robinson.
Here.
Trustee Page.
Here.
Trustee McGovern.
Here.
Highway Commissioner Young.
Great, then we'll go with a pledge of allegiance.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I had to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I was like, I hope I
You, sorry, thank you. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Full house today. Okay, we'll start with public comment. We'll do in-person public comment first so that because really I'm guessing some might not stay. So we'll just go around in a circle with public comment and we'll start here.
anything to say?
Okay, that's my wife. She doesn't have anything to say.
Okay,
I'm here for the tree issue, okay? And I've been under the understanding, I've been told that all the trees in the meadows are gonna be cut down. And I was told that this is the Arboretum Village and that we don't do that. It's like bad, it's taboo because we're either Arboretum Village, and I think that's good to keep trees, right? So I heard we're only cutting down to diseased or the dead trees, okay? And I guess what I would like is to see that if trees are cut down, maybe we can get some replaced on the parkway. I realized that I did some homework. Our sewer backs up because of the roots from the maple tree on the parkway. Our sidewalk is buckled up about that high. When it came around, and said, we'll pay for half the sidewalk if you pay for half. So I'm not doing that because the roots are gonna raise it again anyway, the new sidewalk. So the maple trees, as I did some homework and research, I found that the maple trees are bad for parkways, okay? And I realized that probably at the time the builder has to put the trees in, and the builder probably picked some cheap trees and put them in way back when the Meadows was first, formed. And so I think that they are bad trees, okay, even though I like them. So I'm thinking that as they cut them down, maybe we could just replace them with proper trees that aren't gonna cause sewer damage and sidewalks. They're too big of a tree for a small parkway. They're causing a lot of damage to everything. I like them, and I don't wanna see them all gone, but I think that if they take trees down, maybe we can get a different type of tree that's designed for the parkway that isn't gonna be doing damage and everything, and still create shade and stuff for aesthetics for the meadows. That's all I got to say.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Make one point of clarification. The road district does not intend to cut down all the trees. All we're gonna cut down is those that are diseased or dead or died.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know where that rumor got started, it's unfounded.
You have an arborist? Exciting.
Sorry.
Pardon me,
Do you have an
How are you
arborist?
deciding that a tree is?
Supervisor.
I'm not gonna get into a discussion about it. I just want
Okay.
to. Not.
So we're gonna go through one by one and we're gonna let people have their public comment. And the highway commissioner will have a time. Normally I have a little spot where people realize there's a 3-minute rule for public comment. But I'll have a little timer going right here. So thank you.
I'm done, thanks.
Thank you. Ruby Yosh. Okay. And so,
Yeah, I have a question. I live on South and Lennox, so I have 2 easements. My front easement has a tree that is going down silver maple. On my Lennox side of the easement, I have 5 maple trees that aren't silver maple. They're sugar maple. They're healthy then. I just make sure those aren't gonna be cut down. Because they're not the silver maples that are dangerous.
so we're going through public comment first, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and anything else?
No,
Thank you. Okay, and then ma'am?
I was just interested in having trees replaced when they cut them down. And Oh, and if you were gonna have an arborist to decide which ones die or not. I talked to somebody cutting down the trees and they told me it was at the residents' request that they would just go by work order list that they got from the residents calling it.
Okay, thank you.
So that's not.
We can, and there will be a time when the highway commissioner will respond as
Okay.
well. Thank
Alright.
you.
Know about that.
Okay, and then ma'am,
I am not opposed to the removal of dead or diseased trees that are truly deemed a danger to property or human life. Rather, I am in opposition to the Lisle Township disregard to their taxpaying residents and to the unincorporated communities where we live. This is demonstrated by one, a lack of transparency and lack of communication to the residents. Two, no apparent systematic strategic plan for the removal and replacement of trees stated by a certified arborist. Three, no thoughtful consideration as to the negative consequences and severe ramifications that result following the removal of so many mature trees in our communities where we live, work, and play. Silver maples have a life expectancy of 100 years in urban areas. Some of the trees removed needed to come down. Many others were healthy, budding, leaf out completely in the spring, and they did not appear to be a present or future liability. They were not hollow, diseased, dead, or dying. Question, who evaluated these trees? Why, if not dead or dying, were they removed? Why won't they be replaced? We have the right to be properly informed in a timely manner by the Lisle Township Board prior to the removal of trees adjacent to our homes. We residents of unincorporated Lisle implore you to provide a written, well thought out multi-year plan for maintaining, managing, and replanting our community's urban forest. We need a viable tree replacement program so that we can all continue to realize the many essential benefits of parkway trees for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. And then, sir,
Sure. As we've heard a few times, I'd like to know who was the arborist? When was the arborist there to evaluate each of the trees? Currently 27 trees have been cut, and if there has been no arborist, we've lost 27 trees that were just cut. Why were we not informed? We asked the commissioner if these trees will be replaced, and he said, not at this time. When I followed up and said, oh, that means they will be, I was told there is no funds for this, hence replacing them. So I'd like to understand that. And I think that's enough. I think this was said very well. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Okay, and then, sir. Okay, and then we'll go out to the hallway, and I can't really see.
All I know is from my house. I'm new to the area here. I've been here a year and I love Wyatt. It's been fun. Thank you. I get a little lost, so I've got to thank goodness for GPS, but I contacted the Lisle Township about my tree in front, and I just wanted it trimmed. Because there were just some like dead branches and stuff, and it still had some pretty good life to it, I thought. The next thing I know, I left one day and I come back, it's gone. And I'm like, what the heck? He goes, well, we're kind of in, all these trees in your neighborhood are infested with ants. That's what he told me. I don't know, I'm not an arborist, but you know. So that's just, I mean, and we need to have those trees on our parkways. And I really feel that you guys gotta dig somewhere and give us our trees back.
Thank you. Anyone else in the hallway? Come on up.
So, good evening. I'm Dan Helder. I live at Summit Foley Road in Lisle. I'm where the sidewalk ends, the meadows, so I'm technically not the meadows, but I go through it all the time. So, I'm here tonight as a member of the community to provide public comment regarding the plan for the parkway trees. My wife and I grew up in the meadows. I can still remember growing up, our house was built in 1967 on 59th Street. I remember it was barren and watching all these trees grow up in this lush neighborhood. And so for here, I think a lot of us just want to be part of the planning for this, as it is a hugely impactful, change to our neighborhood. And I do think that we have a multi-year, cost-effective, cost-sharing solution to this that we all win from. And I think with that partnership, we'll be successful, and it's something we all can walk away between the Meadows community and the township and say, hey, look what we did together over this long plan. So I'm sure we're not cutting out all the trees at once and, some for wood and all that, but, we'd like to, be part, I think I care a lot. We want to be part of the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the hallway there?
Yeah, my name's John Tamborelli. I'm a resident of Westview Lane in the Meadows as well. A lot of the same points I was going to discuss that have already been brought up, but one of the things about the partnership with us and the township is it does allow us to open up opportunities for various grants as well that may exist that are only available to municipalities. And so if we're able to establish something with the township on that, it may afford us the opportunity to get additional funds, additional grants, as well as potentially partnering with any suppliers in the area around discounts for bulk purchasing and that type of thing. So it behooves all of us to come together on this and establish something so that we can get the benefit for the neighborhood that a lot of folks are passionate about and want to fulfill, and hoping that we can work something out over time here. That's that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else in the hallway? Come on up.
All I can say is that I support.
Could you come in?
everything
Because
that-
we can. we
There's
won't
an
hear you
owl.
On the tape,
There's this owl thing that,
you actually have to talk loud.
yes, thank you.
I was just saying that I support everything that John said. I spoke to him about this, along with Sharon, and, I live in the Meadows as well, so. So I'm really, supportive of everything that we brought forth here. And if something hasn't, I'm not sure, Sharon. Okay, sorry, I couldn't be here. So just want to show my support for that issue as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the hallway?
My name is Lee, and I have to say, since a lot of people know me, I'm not representing my place of employment here. I do agree with a lot of what people have said here, but the trees are not good hardwood trees. A lot of good tree choices may be those that are around the school right now. We want to have something that has a deep root, but aside from that, I think that the township really should help people with purchasing or do a bulk purchase of parkway trees. Right now, if you cut a lot of the trees this summer, it's gonna be very hot. And the drought will affect a lot of the other plantings. The heat will affect a lot of the other plantings. I really think that if it is in the budget to maybe cut a few less trees and maybe put in some saplings, that would be a good idea. Also, you're restricted by how big of a tree you can put in. And trees do better smaller when they start out smaller. But I'm always worried that if I put in something smaller, it'll just sort of be cut down. I want to also point out that township is not only the Meadows, it is the area around it too. So any kind of parkway decision will affect all of us. I would like to see a written plan. I would like to see a multi-year plan. That's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the hallway? Come on up.
I'm Mary Tomei. I'm also a homeowner in the Meadows. I think my personal concern is the changing character of the neighborhood. If we take down the trees and we don't replace them with something. I know that we personally love the way the parkway trees look. It's very big appeal to the neighborhood, and I think, if we don't figure out a plan to help homeowners replace trees, even if they would use them, cut them down, I mean, it's gonna change the place where I bought my house, and I think it'll make my house less valuable. So that's my concern.
Thank you. Anyone else in the hallway? Anyone else? Just want to make sure that anybody in the hallway has time to have a 3-minute public comment. Okay, and then we'll go around.
Hi, my name is Carol and I live in the Meadows. And I agree with Sharon. And remember Bruce saying I'm a rural, I'm an nature lover, we need the trees. And I agree, if they're really dead and they aren't actually just disease tree and it's been by an arborist that they said that it is dead, yeah, I can see cutting them down because it's not good, but this doesn't, tree should be replaced. I disagree that you cannot, and I don't think you should be cutting them all at the same time. Like you're saying, you should not do everything at once, because she's right about the heat and everything. You should only be, if you're gonna cut some trees out, it should only be like here and there and take time and then go to another one, but not do it all at the same time. But I agree, if you're gonna cut something down, we have wildlife. I'm a big wildlife person. You need those trees back, and it does. It looks very much prettier down the neighborhood with trees in the front like that. That's all I wanna say. If you're gonna cut it down, we should replace it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Ryan, been in the Meadows 22 years. When I decided with Lisle, it was called the Hidden Gem. Nobody really heard of the Meadows. I grew up in Lombard. Really didn't know about it. What I liked about the Meadows, it reminded me of Lombard, the mature trees. I'm glad to hear that, it's not every tree. That's the misconception. I think to forego rumors, which this pretty much turned out to be, is transparency. I think if we just, nobody here is fault, just simple newsletter. I mean, whatever it may take. I worked with the Troll World for 30 years, retired December, and they had a plan. Anytime they disrupted an area, they had to plant a percentage of trees. I know this is a township, not highly funded, but like somebody else said, if we work with the grants and stuff that's available, by far, there's a lot of areas we can get these trees. But it's the aesthetic, and it will affect over time in the value of the homes. And I know this isn't going down and taking every tree out like it was brought up. But I just think we do have to have some replacement program, and I know it's not gonna happen overnight. And that's what the majority here needs to understand. Things just don't happen overnight, and I understand that, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Ma'am,
Here.
or
I live in the Meadows. I've been over 40 years. And it's been a great friend and a helper to me. I've got problems with water. The trees are beautiful. And they also save a lot of money in the summer. I think, and I'm hoping that if indeed trees have to be taken down, they should be replaced as they're taken down in order to keep the beauty, the symmetry, and everything else about the Meadows as close as it is as possible. It's lovely, it's beautiful. If it's a necessity, that's understandable. But on the other hand, it's Park Lodge, let's cut them all down, which is what I was afraid of, because several trees have been removed on my street. I'm on Columbine, and some of them look pretty healthy. They were beautiful trees. I'm too old to wait for another one. So that's where I stand. I just don't want it. So that's all I have to say.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Sir? Or sir, did you have a comment?
He's with me.
Okay, just kidding. And then just, I saw a few new people in the hallway. Everybody had a chance to speak. Okay, and then,
sorry.
sorry, I see a hand right there.
My name is Maureen Heatherly. I live on 59th Street. And I would just like transparency. You know, I know the trees have to come down. Yes, we can save some, and some have to go, but I just don't want to come out of my house and find my tree gone. That's wrong, okay? You need to tell someone when you come on the property when a tree is gonna be removed. So that people know. And 27 trees have been taken down. How many trees are there? That are suspect? I mean, there's 500 homes and there are 500 trees.
There's more than 5.
Okay, so we don't even know how many trees. there
Not
are.
exactly. There's more than 5.
Okay. So you've taken down 27 of them already. Is it gonna be
Many.
25 each year?
Yeah, well.
Which, I
How
mean,
many
no
are
one
being
knows what's
replaced?
going on. You need to tell us.
Okay, thank you. And then Highway Commissioner Young.
Does this count as by public comment?
Yes, it would.
Are we allowed to ask a follow-up?
One second.
No,
Which
so-
more public comment do you
Yeah.
want?
So there's still public comment in the room.
I'm
gonna defer my time to him. So,
Again, are we allowed to have a follow-up question or comment? Or we only have the one shot?
sorry, just one shot.
Okay.
But you can always email,
Sure.
and make sure that, you CC other people. Highway Commissioner Young.
First of all, we don't intend to take down all the trees. We understand how important they are. Not only do they provide shade and sound lessening, but the water they consume is phenomenal. Without that, the streets would flood. No question. about it. What we are guilty probably of is not communicating with you that we're gonna cut down the trees. I guarantee you we will prove on that, but we are going to continue to have to cut down trees. I bet over half of the trees that we've cut down so far was at a resident's request. Okay? We're looking at a replacement program. We're not sure where to start. We've talked to a former employee of the Arboretum who was working with us to get grants in the past. Unfortunately, the grants mostly are for disadvantaged communities. Lisle is not a disadvantaged community. So it's gonna come out of our pocket. If it comes out of our pockets, is that the township pocket, is the road district pockets? Or is it your pockets? Or it's a combination of the two? That's what we have to sort through. We have to develop a replacement program. I totally agree with that. But then we have to look at the long-term funding. There's a section in the law that perhaps the counselor will speak to. But the commissioner, let me read it, what it says. It's here. The commissioner can only do what the statutes say he or she can do. Okay? There's nothing in the statute that says I'm responsible for replacing trees. I take care of the trees. Why? The public safety. That's why we go down and come down and do it. But I'm not sure, and this has to be investigated, of how much cost share, if any, we can participate. We can certainly, I think I can do without any problem, and I'll do a study, and I've got money in the budget to do that. But then after the study, then we're gonna have to sit down and get all these off the paper. We didn't put the trees in. All of my predecessors hated every tree in the township. Just what's it do? Just work. Just, we understand that affects you greatly and would probably be a decision. But there is a lot of, I got a call this afternoon. There's a big tree limb on Westview that's hanging over the sidewalk that's about to fell off the tree. It's about to, somebody walking on the side. Every time you send somebody out, that must love me. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. I hope to work with you. I did put some money in the budget and I'll try and keep you as best I can. Okay?
Can the homeowner replace a tree? on the
Absolutely. There's a listing on the website of trees we would recommend,
public? Okay.
and you can do it. Feel free.
Would you help with the planting? I bought 2 last year and I went to plant them right next to the 2 were taken out. And I'm hitting the roots and everything and I'm like, I took them back. And there were trees that were on the list, because I got the list from you, because that's what I want to do. And I just didn't go in the thing about calling and asking, would you plant them if I buy them? I had 2 of them at home.
The short answer is no.
You won't help plant them. How is the homeowner supposed to get through all that? We don't have the equipment.
I know. but
When the
Okay.
tree was taken down, the roots were not ground. So
the
The
some
stump
should have-
was shallow. The roots were ground shallow.
it was not.
They took the stump out with the stump grinder.
Right.
And hit some of the roots,
Right.
but the roots still went so far.
The
as
risks
to
go
be
on
under
forever.
the
They go
ground.
into your yard and they go all over the place, under the street.
Yeah, I know,
think
I know.
I
But
think
see,
they can have
the
everybody's
normal homeowner can't get through that stuff where, you have the equipment.
Well.
We're willing to buy them. I bought 2 trees, I took them back. I said, they quit it, I don't need them.
I couldn't dig.
Yeah, my air conditioning bill is up, but,
Years old, I ain't digging.
I understand that.
okay,
What's the
thanks.
procedure? Do we call Julie? Is that all we have to do? Or?
To plant a tree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just,
That's all we have
well,
to do.
go to the website. You should call us, tell you're gonna put one in. And go to the website, pick out one that's on the list,
Yeah.
okay? Then call Julie and go plant it.
We're responsible to plant them. Is that what I'm
Yes,
hearing?
right now.
And then who's responsible to maintain them once they're planted? By the homeowner,
Watering and things like that. We're not gonna water,
okay?
all right?
You're gonna.
We will trim it when it gets bigger.
Okay, will you fertilize it?
Nope.
So really, the
Your
replacement
responsibility.
is us.
Right.
At this point,
Well, they
even
don't
though the
fertilize
plan may
your
be
big one
developed.
anyway.
and
But I don't, yeah, I
we're-
don't think.
So what's the
town-
cost sharing part that you would?
Well,
say?
I'm not sure that in the future that if we can or cannot cost you. I would look at that program if we could. I don't know what I can
And
do.
if you can,
Then it's on. Right now, it's all on you, right? I'm doing an investigation. I'm trying to put together a plan, okay? Over the long term, what has to be done, not only in the meadows, but all of the larger subdivisions, the unincorporated areas, about the same. And we're all facing the same problem.
did I understand correctly? You said that most of the 27, you're saying that the ones that were cut down were at the owner's request? Is that what I understood you to say?
I said about it. I don't know the exact number.
Okay, so at least half, okay.
That's what I'm guessing. We got a lot of
Well, I can
calls.
think of 6 that were taken down that were not by the owner, because the owner was away, comes home and all 5 of his trees
Well, but
are gone. My next door
that,
neighbor didn't know
that
either.
list has been developed for a long period of time.
But not communicated to the resident.
But the resident didn't know.
I
No one
agree. I said, we'll do a better job. We'll mark them.
So can
let
we
you know.
halt the process till communication is better?
Yeah, oh yeah, we're not, we
Okay, so
won't
you're not
take
doing
any
any
more.
more now. I just want to understand.
We will knock on your door before we take down the tree.
Oh, that same day.
No.
So I mean, do we
no.
have any time to prep?
Yeah, no, we're not gonna. Get out of here. No, we're not gonna-
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll give you.
Thank you. And if anybody, if the highway commissioner wants to get emails maybe to help with the communication efforts, that might be helpful. Or any other type of communication, any other board members, and Autumn, your time went to the highway commissioner, trustee Geist. Anyone else on the board have a comment, Barry?
I just want to say point of order, make sure everyone signs in that you've attended this meeting, please, for the benefit of the clerk who has to keep track of
Thank
all
you,
that.
I
please.
appreciate it.
And I don't know that we had everyone identify themselves as a speaker. So
No.
if you spoke, could you please make a note that you made a public comment? That would help the clerk when she's doing her minutes.
Where is the sign-in sheet? Thank you.
Do you want them to put their email?
And if you could, my name is Diane Hewitt. I'm the supervisor of Lisle Township. I also live in the Meadows. I knew nothing about any of the trees happening or any of the plans or anything like that. Before it happened until I saw, when I was taking a walk and I saw the trees being cut down. And the only person that can have an effect on this is the highway commissioner.
Well, that's
I
up to the
can't
township can have its own tree planting program as well.
Okay, but I've never heard of such a thing. And again,
We have
I
more
haven't.
leeway than I do with respect to studying.
Again, this is my time, sir. So I'm going to, have a few minutes then to finish my comment. We're about to have a email newsletter that we're putting together. And so if anybody wants to give us your email, the township is going to then try to do that in the next few weeks. So it's sometimes helpful, especially if there's a quick communication. I know the highway commissioner has 2 printed newsletters that go out. I think the budget this time for the township is only 1. I think it's really helpful. I know that when we live in the Meadows, to have more communication from the township because we have such an impact. So thank you very much for your time and consideration, and love to get your emails to work with that. Okay, then we have.
Any other online?
Right, there's 2 different ways that you can also do public comments. There's the online here, and we're gonna finish with the people have like submitted a comment through the website. And so we'll just make sure that you didn't actually submit one on here as well. But anybody online, I'm gonna go through your names one by one, and if you want to unmute yourself and do a public comment, Bennett. Heather. Joanne. Job. John. Tanya. Okay, if you couldn't find your mute button, you could raise your hand as well. And then we have the public comments that were printed.
And there's quite a few. If you're here and you commented already, just let me know and I won't read it. In no particular order, this is from Dan Shields. Are you here? Okay. I humbly write to ask the township for consideration of plan to notify residents of the removal of parkway trees based on best urban forestry practice. A mechanism for residents to object to the removal of the parkway trees unless it's a safety concern, and a program to replace parkway trees like the sidewalk replacement program. The Meadows is defined by its leafy tree-lined parkways, and the residents wish to work with the township to keep the neighborhood's identity intact. Thank you for your time. That was Dan Shields. Alicia Roberts. I currently reside in the Meadows and am very sad to see the number of trees that have needed to be removed. I'm strongly in favor of a program to see these trees replaced. It is such a beautiful neighborhood and I would love to see its character maintained for future generations and to help protect not only our local community, but wider global environment. There's Alicia Roberts. Mike Nielsen, that's okay, and then Joan Nielsen. And hers is very short and sweet. Please don't cut down my trees. They're healthy, leave them alone. Tell her I gave it justice. Mary Lou Siderski. Please stop cutting down the maples in the meadows. Maple trees can live many years. They provide beauty to our neighborhood and in the fall. Elm Street is breathtaking as the trees glow in the sunlight. The trees can be trimmed for safety. The entire trees should not be removed. Please consider. Thank you. Andrew Jablonski. I would like to see which trees are to be cut down and which have been cut down and the reasoning for it. Why so many? Connie Wade. Please protect our meadows trees because they protect us in so many ways. These amazing trees, blessings, protect us from pollution and noise. We are surrounded by highways. They protect us from scorching summer heat, winter winds, flooding. They help all the wildlife and so much more. The trees are one of the reasons we moved to the meadows. We are the Arboretum city after all. Please protect our trees. Thank you, Wade family. Erin Fabrizio. My husband and I moved our family to Lisle in 2015, and the reason was because of the trees in this neighborhood. On the way to a house showing in Naperville, we passed through the meadows and fell in love with the well-kept mature trees, the way they hung over the wide roads and added such a comfortable, welcoming feel. And now we could not be happier with our decision to move to Lisle and could not imagine living anywhere else. Please let us consider planting more trees along the parkway and replacing the trees that were already removed. If not for current residents, then for the sake of the people who were like us and are about to make the mistake of moving to Naperville. Bob Kruger. Oh wait, Lisle Township is Naperville as well, so that's good. Bob Kruger. I'm writing to express a growing concern shared by many residents in our neighborhood regarding the recent tree removals. While we understand the necessity for some tree maintenance, it's disheartening to witness trees being cut down without a clear plan for replanting. Trees play a crucial role in our community's well-being, providing shade, improving air quality, and enhancing the overall aesthetic appeal of our neighborhood. Without a thoughtful strategy for replanting, we risk losing these invaluable benefits. I urge the town to reconsider its approach to tree management and prioritize a sustainable plan that includes replanting initiatives. Preserving our urban forest is not just an environmental issue, but also a vital aspect of maintaining the quality of life for current and future generations. I would appreciate the opportunity to discuss this matter further and collaborate on finding solutions that benefit our community. Thank you for your attention to this important issue. Bob Kruger. Jillian Santora. How is the township determining which trees are scheduled to be removed? What is the plan for replacing the trees and what type of trees will be planted for their replacements? Is there a predetermined plan that can be made available to Meadows residents regarding scheduled removals and plan for replanting? Okay. Don Kraus. Point 1. I applaud Highway Commissioner Young for including $150,000 in his fiscal year 2025 road district budget for tree care. I have offered MR. I apologize, it's written funny. Mr. Young, my expertise and intellectual resources to help ensure taxpayers fully benefit from their investment. Point two, I am appalled that Supervisors Hewitt proposed budget for 24-25 shows a deficit of over $270,000. The commissioner proposes that Lisle Township spend over 8% it takes in. Credit cards are not the answer. I demand that the township go to zero-based budgeting. Point three, I demand that the board uphold its sworn responsibility and not approve the $265,000 requested in the March 13, 2024 fiscal year 2023-2024 second budget and appropriations amendment memorandum. Thank you for this time and your service. I demand a reply to my public comments by March 27, 2024. That's Don Cross. Kim Martin. Please establish a program to replace the mature trees that are being removed from the Meadow subdivision with trees larger than saplings. Many of the trees in our neighborhood are nearing their end of life. A program to offset the cost of planting more mature trees will significantly help homeowners. Trees add to the beauty in our neighborhood, provide homes for wildlife, and help with stormwater management. Well, it is impossible to save all the trees in our neighborhood. It is possible to work together to plant new ones to continue to have the same beautiful tree-lined streets that we are used to having. That was Kim Martin. Joseph Ferrari. Restore our parkway trees by replanting. We pay taxes to the Lisle Township to maintain the parkway. Why are you removing so many trees all at once and not replacing them? That was Joseph Ferrari. Eileen Roman. In regard to saving, protecting, and replanting the trees of the Meadow subdivision, I believe that this is something that should be discussed and a plan should be created where residents are given the opportunity to assist in the purchase of trees that will replace those being taken down. A program similar to the sidewalk concrete replacement program would be a wonderful way to do this. It would ensure that the village plant trees that are varied and also ensure homeowners can still benefit from having trees in the neighborhood. If there is a committee to move forward with a plan like this, I would be more than interested in assisting. That's Eileen Roman.
Thank you. And I see one hand up.
There's a couple more.
Oh, just kidding.
Keep going. Lisa Bobis. Please send out information on why so many trees are being removed in the Meadow subdivision. I understand some may be old or diseased, but healthy trees are also being cut down. Also, it would be helpful if the township would help plant new trees by sharing the cost with homeowners. We need new trees to replace the ones being removed, and not everyone can afford the full cost of a tree. There should be a certain budget amount set aside every year for replacement trees. We all know the benefits that trees provide, and we need to make sure that we are providing for future generations. That was Lisa Bobis. Josh Martin. I have personally witnessed the removal of several parkway trees in the Meadow subdivision. I understand that this is necessary in a certain circumstance based on the health of the tree. I was dismayed to learn that there is no robust process for evaluating tree health by a certified arborist and no replacement program for these mature trees. Several surrounding cities and townships have this program in place. A quick Google search revealed a comprehensive plan in Naperville that not only assures property owners that a thorough evaluation has been conducted, but a tree replacement program will help to ensure that lost trees are replanted. From the Naperville website. Trees, quote, trees will be inspected by a City of Naperville ISA certified arborist. If removal is necessary, the inspecting arborist will contact the property owner. The tree is placed on the removal waiting list, end of quote. This step is sorely lacking. There must be communication with the homeowner regarding removal. Furthermore, quote, the city handles the tree replacement process and shares the cost of the replacement tree with the property owner. Property owners are required to pay $165, which is half of the $330 the city pays for a new tree. The fee includes delivery, planting, and a 1-year tree warranty. There's no cost to the property owner for removal or stump grinding, end of quote. I feel this is a minimum required for the Arboretum Village. Homeowners may not be able to bear the cost of tree replacement, and the solution cannot be doing nothing. If budget is an issue, it should be allocated. The sidewalk replacement program has been very successful, and I would argue a tree replacement program would be just as successful. We have to do more. Mature trees are too valuable to the neighborhood to cut them down without a certified arborist, without a replacement plan. Those might exist, but the township website is sorely lacking in information on the subject. Overall, this program must be improved. The community expects it. That was Josh Martin. Couple more. Tracy Cordes. When we first moved to the Meadows, we were immediately charmed by the mature trees. It was gut-wrenching to see so many cut down at once. I really hope there is some plan in motion to replace trees that were lost in the past 2 years, and that there is some scrutiny in selecting trees that will be removed in the future, i.e. only sick or dying trees. That was Tracy Cordes. Joanne Slezak. Why is Lisle Township removing so many trees in the Meadows subdivision? There have been 2 cut down already just to the south of my house on Primrose Avenue, leaving the parkway looking barren. This is called the Arboretum Village. Cutting down both healthy and dying trees without replacing them is an injustice not only to the residents, but the original residents who wanted a beautiful landscape to live in and enjoy. And today, more than ever, we need trees for all the good they do for our planet. Protection for our birds, help protect our homes, the sun, which reduce the amount of energy used to cool them in the summer. They also help protect the residents from the noise and pollution from 355. Please reconsider every tree that is slated for slaughter and replace the ones already taken down. Thank you, Joellen Slezak. And the last one. This is by Eileen Marie Hager. I have been told that the township plans on cutting down all the parkway trees in the Meadows subdivision. If this is true, my husband and I strongly object and ask for a valid reason why this should be done. The value of trees in a neighborhood are many, and to cut them down without reason is appalling. I know they are not all dead. Trimming the tree is actually a better solution, cheaper and better for the tree. There's Eileen Marie Hager. Thanks.
Thank you. And then I see one person with their hand up, and I didn't mean to, there you go. Claire Goldenberg.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Claire Goldenberg and I'm a Lisle Township and Lisle resident. And I wanted to talk about a few things, one of them being my confusion over the hire of a township administrator. Very confused as to why you needed to hire a township administrator when the trustees explicitly said when they fired the operations director and the senior services director that these 2 positions were going to be eliminated because you had the staff in place and that those positions could be eliminated with no disruptions to the services that the township was offering. So very confused as to why you had to hire a township administrator at another cost to the township and the taxpayers. My next comment is regarding the budget. I know you're going to talk a little bit about the budget. I do hope you're going to address where the personal property tax income is coming from. So I do hope you will address that. And my last comment is for just the trustees in general. Don't forget what your edict is. Your job is to spend the taxpayers' money. The whole reason for being a township government organization is to provide services to the needy. So please don't forget that when you are looking at your budget numbers in the coming weeks. I know we're having a public hearing. There's a lot of people in this meeting. Please don't forget the public meeting at the end of the month. I believe it is the 25th. We want to see the services provided by this township expanded. We want the township to spend the taxpayers' monies that are already coming out and are already in the coffers. And I, again, don't want you to forget why you are here, why this government body exists. You were all elected on a platform to expand services. We haven't seen as much expansion especially in the actual monetary dollars that you are providing to the most needy, the most immediate needed people, such as the rent assistance. You are taking in a lot of money in this area, but the numbers are not proportionately going up there. And those are my public comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, just want to make sure we're closing out public comment.
Public comment. I'm going
Trustee McGovern.
to defer my time to Autumn.
Thank you. Trustee McGovern. In February, there was a transportation meeting at Lisle Library. And I went to the meeting because I wanted to understand why we were having a meeting and to understand, what was happening. And there was a room full of people very similar to what's happening right now, who had been fed some misinformation. Unfortunately, the misinformation was that I had said I wanted to cancel the senior transportation program. And so when I came in today and I saw these people here, and I'm listening to your understanding that there's some misinformation and some rumor being spilled, I'm really curious as to where it came from. You don't have to answer now. I would welcome you to send me an email and let me know where that stemmed from, because in the meeting at the transportation meeting, I learned that the rumor came from the supervisor that she had told people that I had wanted to cancel the senior transportation program. Thankfully, technology was on my side, because there was a video that actually we were able to play in the meeting that followed that clearly demonstrated that is not what I said. And it clearly showed what I did say, which was that I was very much in support of it. So unfortunately, there's a lot of dissension that happens when misinformation goes out there. You all have a very emotional stand on this, and I don't blame you. I live in this community because I love mature trees too. I don't live in Meadow, but I always wanted to. I love driving in the meadows because I love the canopy of trees and how they line the streets. It's gorgeous. I can assure you, your highway commissioner is not trying to take away all of your nature and all of your beauty. And so when you hear information like that, and you're feeling emotionally charged, I would highly recommend you have a conversation with the person who you are hearing wants to do that to you, versus getting everyone worked up like this, because as you have learned this evening, that's not accurate information. But I would welcome you, Trustee Geist, Trustee Geist at LisleTownship.com. Please email me. I would love to know where the rumors stem from, because if it did stem back from the supervisor, that's just going to further enhance my position and the vote of no confidence that we placed upon her in September of 2023 by your bipartisan unanimous board. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just trying to finish public comment, and I see one more public comment online. Ms. Quigley.
Will you respond to the email?
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, it's Sue Quigley, Lisle resident, 25 years. I'm sorry I'm late. At the last meeting, I got rather mixed signals. I got yelled at for stating point of order. Sorry about that. I got caught up in the moment. Then later, however, I got thanked for pointing out that February has 29 days. The township supervisor got yelled at for various issues during the meeting, yet she was also acknowledged and thanked for getting the $100,000 grant. Within 15 minutes of the last meeting, yelling started, and recently it just seems that has become an acceptable form of communication. That's too bad and very unprofessional. Next, I'd like to offer some information that might be helpful. Apparently, as I understand from two work sources, in the past few years, the phone service companies are not wanting to offer landline service and maintain or repair old landline style phones. Eventually, in a year or so, all home and business phone systems and equipment will be internet based. So if the electricity and internet goes down, so will the phone systems. It's likely that neither the previous supervisor or the current supervisor will be able to control or revert back to a landline system. Another topic, do we have the job descriptions ready for the existing employees yet? It seems this is on the agenda month after month. Soon it will be a year. Yet, for the new township administrator, A job description was created and approved very quickly, so it is possible to get it done. I do find it odd that the administrator does have to attend the 708 meetings, but not these Lisle Township monthly board meetings. The meeting length. Do you realize that if everyone uses their 3 minutes per motion or issue, that ends up to be about a half an hour per topic? In 4 hours, you'd only be able to get to 8 agenda items. If everyone stayed on topic and were less repetitious, and didn't use their full 3 minutes, you might get through the agenda before midnight. That's just a few suggestions and thoughts, and I give you back your 45 seconds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And has anybody that has not made a public comment at this point wishes to make a public comment, and then we're gonna close out?
I still have.
Okay, thank you.
Two things on the trees. One,
Your public comment is over, sir. You can have it as part of your elected official report. And there we go. We can,
Well, no,
we can
if
use
the
it.
board-
Yeah.
Board can just.
And thank you very much for coming. Really
Public
appreciate
comment.
it.
Have a comment.
No,
I will defer my time to highway.
Okay, so there's.
We can answer their questions,
There
then
you
we can move on.
Okay, so the total of public comment is generally in the rule book up to a half an hour. We've gone almost an hour over.
why don't you stop it at a half hour?
Because there was a lot of people
I make
here
a
that
motion
Kate
to let
took some
Highway
time.
Commissioner Young speak for his 3 minutes that trustee Page has gifted to him.
Okay, we can also just have your elected official report go now. So can we defer his elected official report to now?
Yeah.
So that you can finish,
We have a second?
it's not just
Clerk
3
Elvis?
minutes.
We have a first and a second.
So this way it would be a longer
We have
time
all in
than
favor,
just a
Clerk
public
Elvis?
comment, 3
I
minutes.
can't do that.
So would anybody like to make a motion to allow the highway commissioner to have his elected?
Motion is on the table.
Okay, I couldn't hear you. So again, we normally raise our hands, which is in the rules, in which
Okay.
then I can hear and we can, be addressed. So the motion was by anybody that would raise their hand.
I made a motion.
Trustee Geist,
I second it.
and the motion was,
I make a motion to allow Highway Commissioner Young to speak using the time that trustee Page has deferred to him so graciously. Thank you, Highway Commissioner Young.
so we're in the discussion phase, and that would be 3 minutes of a public comment. Would we just allow the public, and I'm just saying in the discussion phase, would we allow the highway commissioner to then have his full elected official report, which would be
You just spent
longer than 3
minutes
minutes?
time wasted doing that.
Thoroughly, but again, we need to raise our hands and be addressed. Okay, does anybody want to take a roll call vote? Do we have any more discussion?
Call the motion.
Okay, call the question.
Roll call vote.
Trustee Geist.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
No.
Two things on trees, and I'm going to the other comments. One, there's only one other township that has a tree assistance program, and that's Addison, and that it's holdover money from the Emerald Ash Bowl. Yes. No other township has. Okay. Another way of communication, I have attended the last homeowners association meeting at the Meadows. I'd be glad to attend that, and that may save all of you from coming to this out of the way. And I'm glad to attend those meetings today. Okay, and if you have questions, give me a call. Now my comments. Supervisor Hewitt, I am again asking you to resign. There was a vote of no confidence passed in 2023 in which all of the trustees, the assessor and the highway commissioner outlined reasons, including financial mismanagement, why you should resign. In addition to allowing the general assistance fund to become insolvent, you have spent over $250,000 in accounting and legal fees. Don't shake your head, it's true. Every full-time employee that was employed by the township when you took office, gone. I recently ran into a township employee who stated that it was such an uncomfortable situation and environment to work in that the supervisor doesn't even acknowledge your presence when you pass her in the hall. I've mentioned your DUI before and how you could get on a road in that state and put everybody on on same roads at risk for their lives is incomprehensible. For all the embarrassment you have brought Lisle Township, its residents, and the fact that township officials throughout the state you have tarnished the reputation. And yet there's no indication of any regret, no ownership of any of your actions, for either your DUI or what you've done to the township operations. For all of those reasons, Supervisor Hewitt, I ask your resignation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. We're moving on to the accountant's report.
Okay, good evening, board. Nice to see everybody tonight. In your packet, there was some feedback, making from the last meeting about the length of the reports you guys were getting was like over 100 pages of information, too much. So in the packet this evening, there's another example or sample of something that we can provide going forward in the future. So it's 4 pages of information for your income statement, so budget versus actual of revenues and expenses, and that's just a summary. So it shows the month of February that we're in, and then your year-to-date revenues and expenditures. A little more easy to digest than 100 pages of information. So I welcome any feedback on this report, anything that you guys would like to see different. We can certainly bring more samples forward as well. If there's anything that you guys would like included or not.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And saving trees. That's the view of the evening, right?
Don't know if there's any specific questions that you guys have on the actual income statement or balance sheet. I'd be happy to answer it.
You asking for questions now? Okay. You're switching over to ACL, is that what's planned?
Yes, accounting, yes. Yep.
And that's gonna cost us additional, won't cost us additional money as long as we stay with you, but if we leave you, there will be additional fees for that, so.
So that'll be your guys' decision if you choose to stay with the software to license directly through Thomson Reuters. It is not our software. We do not license it. We have an agreement with them. That is a cost effective agreement, which allows us then to be able to pass on that software to you guys.
I guess I'm just confused because when we accepted the quotes to work with you, it wasn't the understanding that you were gonna change the software that we were working with.
It was in the proposal, I believe. I can go back and double check on that. And I know, I believe, my colleague Wes had mentioned it at the meeting, and then I
And it was
mentioned it
possible.
in January. So
Yeah.
QuickBooks is no longer going to be supported, as of May 31st, the version.
Our version of QuickBooks.
Correct, your version of QuickBooks.
Oh.
Not that this is old, but your
No, that's
version of
good to know.
yeah, your version of QuickBooks. So in order to keep QuickBooks, then you guys would have to pay to get that upgraded version of QuickBooks also.
Okay.
The payroll currently is now being done in accounting staff that has been transitioned over. And so just have everything in one software also just creates efficiencies as well. So
This was the first payroll that was processed
it was, yes.
and there was an error.
There was an error, yes, it was caught. We did then go back through and do an audit of everything. I'm not sure how that happened. Yeah, but
We don't want it to happen again.
and it will, I can assure you, honestly, we've done hundreds of payroll transitions, and obviously, there are payroll companies who do this as well. The fact that there was only one error is pretty good for that first payroll. I understand that there
No.
should not be payroll.
That kind of error is not acceptable at any time.
I understand that.
Can I
And
inquire about that?
what are we talking about? There was a pay rate error for one of the.
Huge.
Yeah.
And we examined previous months as well.
We did, and we ran parallel payroll, so it was something that somehow got fixed or switched back after we had run the parallel payrolls, because we did run payrolls, for the prior payroll periods, for 2 prior payroll periods, to make sure that everything matched what QuickBooks was outputting. So I honestly am not sure what happened in that situation, but it has been identified.
Thank you. That's one of your things.
Yeah,
Yes.
they doubled his hourly rate.
He was probably pretty excited.
He was, except for the tax. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. And thank you. Any update on where we are from the, audit?
The audit, yes. So, the auditors have everything, that was on the open item list from us. There's one item still that we're working through. We've had contact with the prior auditor because we needed some of their trial balance numbers and some of their adjusting journal entries. Was discovered that prior audit journal entries were not recorded into QuickBooks, which is also what has caused some of the issues with the current audit that's being completed, because they also then had to make some pretty big journal entries to get the funds in balance. So that's where we're at right now. They have all of the information. We're working through one more piece. Part of the delay now at this point is obviously it's almost a year past when that fiscal year ended. You guys are almost at the end of that fiscal year 24. So when the auditors were ready for everything, obviously everything wasn't in good shape at that time. When it was given to them, they had time set aside to be able to work on that. Obviously, that went over because things were missing. There was things that needed to be corrected. I know that they then have to go back and essentially put you guys back in the schedule. Now that they have that. I have a notification to email them again tomorrow, because it's been probably about a week or two since I've heard anything from them. So I'll reach out to them tomorrow to see where we're at in timing wise, to see when we can get this wrapped up, and I'll pass that to you.
Thanks for that.
Do they have the fund balances? Do you have the fund balances reconciled the last thing you reported?
Not in QuickBooks yet, no. So we just received the prior year fiscal 22 journal entries from the prior auditor.
Okay.
So I'm working through those to see what needs to be.
To get your beginning balances to time?
Correct, because Stitch then also provided some entries as well, and so I want to make sure that we're not keeping entries if they've already corrected them based on prior numbers. So.
Thank you.
Kelly, I have a question, because I'm sure you want to get out of here.
Supervisor Hewitt isn't present.
Why?
I just want to make sure we wait for her.
So I can hear, and I could see somebody was looking to get into the area that was
Open door.
closed. So that's why.
An open door.
That's usually locked.
This door is wide open.
Okay, so there's a little space right there, and again, it's usually
I have
that
a
door is
question,
locked.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Clerk Follett.
Hi. My question is this, so we normally get two papers of each of these to sign. One is the classifications and one is the payroll. So, that one, these two numbers don't match, the 10, 20, and 30. They're two different numbers, the 10 is, and I looked, it says the same date on it. Do you have a moment to take care of that so we can get this signed today?
There were 3 versions,
There's
and so
94, 93, 177, 174, and then I'm
that
gonna
was the
need
last
another.
one.
You might want to check this too, then. Well, this is wrong.
Right, but it's only went down like 1,000, this went down like 3.
Shoot it.
I have the report, so let me add those.
Well,
really
if you could
quickly.
give me I need 2 copies of this and then 2 copies of the regular one,
No, it's
or
okay.
the right one.
Yep.
So if you want to just give me what's right, and I'll get them signed.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other accounting questions for Kelly?
I have a comment on the accounting lines in the particular accounts that are separate for the highway commissioner or the separate line items. I would ask that any of those line items, if there's a claim that is in place and it's not signed by me, that it be directed to me and not signed by me.
Yep, okay.
You have access that you're supposed to?
But my understanding was that we requested access to QuickBooks and to date. We still-
Is that controlled by them or the supervisor?
I'm not sure. I don't know if we can, I don't think we can give access. I think that's just because we don't have administrator, right? So I think it would
Because
be
she's got
access.
approval to go to,
Yeah, it has to go to Jerry, and I don't even have access myself, to be extremely clear. So I can't just go in and give somebody access. The way that it has to be done is that Jerry needs to, give the access, and I get the information from Jacob or from Kelly as to what is being asked to do. So,
Did you read it?
Who removed my employee from having access?
not me, because again, I can't even access it at all.
Someone directed to remove them?
So Jerry was the person that has all control. He's the admin of QuickBooks. To be,
Supervisor Hewitt, can I ask you to call whoever you need to call to get them the access that they need to the QuickBooks? So if you, because I'm sure Jerry's gonna need someone's approval to open it back up.
right, so again, I'm taking my cues from the accountants, and so I asked whomever that needed access, I think it was somebody in your office, Assessor Trowbridge, I asked them to speak with Jacob, who then would let me know whether what they were asking for would allow for the audit trail to be secure. So again, I'm trying to make sure that the accountants are giving us the direction that we need.
Could you take care of this and make sure that they get the access that they need? That it should be on you, whoever you need to speak to the accountants, to speak to Jerry, to speak to whoever you need. Could you take care of getting them their access so they can do their job properly?
Clerk Polowitz, I will again speak to Jerry and I'll speak to Jacob, but I don't even have access myself.
That's not what I'm
So
asking.
again, I
That's
will
up to
speak
you.
to
If you
Jacob
want.
and I will speak to Jerry.
Talk to Jacob to make sure they get the access back.
Yeah, we can't give access.
Right.
We don't have the right.
So
to put
who
the city
took
of-
the access away?
Well, I don't know if she took it away, but.
I can't even go into QuickBooks.
But
So
you-
Jerry was the person
It
that,
requires your direction. So I guess
So
the
again,
question is, did you direct someone to change the access of the tax assessor's office to QuickBooks?
I required or asked nobody to change anyone's
Okay,
access.
so if we ask Jerry,
Except that, well, again, you all required that the access be modified to just the accountants. And so
No.
this was some time ago.
so you're saying you did make that direction. You're just saying it in a different way.
The board wanted, and everyone that I knew, the accountants as well, the previous accountant had asked that we modify the access level. And again, I do not have personal access to QuickBooks.
We understand
Jerry
you don't
is
have
the
access.
admin.
Does everyone understand she doesn't have access? We understand you don't have access, but you gave the direction to alter the access. So we're asking you to reverse that and give the direction to return the access. Can you please do that in an email and CC us before we leave this evening?
Okay, I am going to again require that the accountants that have the
She just said she doesn't
understanding.
have access to.
I
QuickBooks.
understand that, but she also has a better understanding of QuickBooks and would acknowledge, who needs to have which kind of access, because it's not just a one
How many
size
years
fits
have you
all
had
access.
to QuickBooks? How long is that? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, give me a number.
8 years.
Okay, 8 years, so 8 years, 10 years. But she said she doesn't have access and doesn't control it.
Yeah,
So-
I can't get access to anybody.
Right.
I know, that when we came in, like Lisa still had a login, and so I believe IT like cleaned up some login because there was
Sure.
additional stuff in there, so maybe
Sure.
something happened with that, but yeah, we
Sure.
don't have access to
Okay,
grant people to have access.
so you're saying you would defer to counting, what, she's here, what would you defer?
Again, I'm not exactly sure what kind of access that you're asking for, because there's a variety of different levels of access. So again, we can do this offline where we can do this with words, and I'll CC everybody.
Unfortunately, it won't get
Thank
done.
you.
It hasn't gotten done in months. So, well, how would you suggest they get access so they're able to do their job? How do you suggest that happens?
Okay, I was just given a call yesterday or the day before. Was the very first time that I understood or heard from anyone in the assessor's office that they were having a problem. That was the very first time. So, again, I will make sure that there's a written email between everyone that can see that I am attempting to make sure that the access that Jerry can give is given in a way that allows for the audit trail to be preserved.
Okay, so you will send an email to Jerry and copy the board
Mhm.
to give access to
And
the
again,
assessor's office and the highway commissioner.
there's a variety of different
Return the
To
levels of access.
return the access in the same state they had it prior.
Correct.
Okay, so there's a variety of different levels
The
of
same
access.
state that they had it prior, he should know. That's all you need to do in your email, and then you could go from there.
I am going to make sure that the audit trail is preserved, and
But
I
you
will
said you didn't alter
again
it. First
make
you said
sure
you didn't have
that
anything to do with
Jerry, who
altering it.
is
Now
the
you're admitting
admin, has
altering
the
it,
ability
and
to
now
do
you're
that.
gonna-
Okay, moving on.
No, it's unfortunate we have to have these conversations, and she quickly was right. We spend too much time having these conversations, but if she recalls at the beginning of this conversation, you had nothing to do with the access change. But as this conversation evolved, you did have something to do with the access change. So here's the thing. We have to have the truth the first time.
I'm getting my time clock out, making sure that we are staying on target with time. Highway Commissioner Young.
I brought up before we went over to, this coming from several times that there wasn't adequate control over the sign, and you did nothing about it. The second thing I'd like to bring up, if in fact that the master password is maintained by somebody not in the township, I think that's a big control. You may want to give them access to it, but somebody in this township better have access to the master password for the books.
I'll speak to the attorney and see what he suggests, and as well as speaking to the accountant. I was told that again,
Are you an expert?
Yeah.
Internal accounting control?
I am not.
Oh.
so that's why we're
I go
referring,
on it anyways.
that's again why we're referring to the experts of such things. Okay, any other questions for the accountant?
Thank you.
Let's go.
Okay, now here.
There's budget items on for budget stuff on the agenda too, so I'm happy to stay if you guys need to. I don't know, do we?
Thank you.
I don't think we're gonna talk details. I mean, we got some, thank you. Okay.
It's always a pleasure.
Okay, then would anybody make a motion to go to audit of expenditures?
I'll make a motion to go to the audit of expenditures.
Second,
Thank you, trustee Page and trustee Robinson, and then discussion. And then a roll call vote.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
yes,
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the audit of bills and claims.
Thank you, trustee Page.
second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson. Now we're in discussion.
The only point I want to make is today there was a request to cut a check to Willowbrook Ford for the repairs of the truck. We do not have a current business agreement with the vendor. With is my understanding based on discussions with interim township administrator. But I would, so we have a check. We have a check that can go to and pay for it. I would recommend giving that supervisor. Supervisor can take that over. I'd make a motion to the supervisor, take that check over, get that payment done, and that'll resolve the credit card.
I was the initiator of resolving this, and I will be taking the check to Willowbrook Ford, and I will make sure they reverse her credit card, and we will make sure they send her receipt of such. That is the agreement we made when we discussed this repeatedly, and
Discussed it once. When will you commit to do this?
I'm taking the check today.
And it will be delivered when?
So one, I don't know when I became accountable to just one board member, but I plan to take it tomorrow.
Thank you. It is in the supervisor's interest to resolve this as quickly
I
as
bet
possible.
it is. Of course it is.
Okay, thank you for
But we
your
don't need
commitment.
an account with them in order to have this check cut, just so that's clear. That was just an additional
Right,
thing that we could have, so we could have net 30, 60, 90 days, whatever they allow us. I don't know what what they're going to grant us,
okay,
but that was just so that for future repairs, which we clearly need, we're going to need, so that would be established.
cool, okay, so,
And I just wanted to point out that it was not extended in any way. It just, the first time a check was even asked to be cut was
Yeah,
today.
no, yeah.
And because I was
Yeah, so
here,
nobody
it was
delayed
asked to
it.
be
So,
signed.
yeah,
Nobody delayed this.
it
check.
does feel, it did, just honestly, the way you questioned it, it felt like you felt like I was delaying it.
Well, but you have other commitments and it's obviously in the supervisor's interest to get this resolved, so.
You're right, but I'm also the one who resolved it because the supervisor didn't take the initiative to find out why they weren't accepting a check. And in fact, they never said they would not accept a check, which was just yet another untruth we uncovered. So I established the relationship with them. I am going to take the check and I
Okay.
will have her card reversed.
Perfect, thank you. Approval of bills, I seconded.
Yes. And Willowbrook Ford, frankly, didn't hear anything about that until I made sure that the relationship was actually established.
That would be a lie.
It is not.
I would be
So
happy
talk
to
to
get in.
Gina.
I talked to Gina.
Who is
Her
the
name is
person
Janine.
that I spoke
I
to
talked to Janine,
several
the
times.
head of service and the head, I think it's interesting that you called to put your spin on it. And I talked to the head of the entire dealership. So I talked to 3 levels of people. So you can carry on this way, but if I have to call her into the next meeting and have her dismiss what you just said, I want another apology. I'm still waiting for the apologies for the other lies that you've told on me. That is an untruth. They absolutely know what's happening. And I find it appalling that you would say they had no idea that I was bringing them a check and they were reversing the charges. Did you just say that on record? That they had no idea of this?
That's what Gina said.
Okay.
I will
Thank
say,
you.
they
Okay.
probably expected this check a month ago when it was approved.
No, because she called me again, I don't know, like a week ago to ask if we got the paperwork for the, to set up the account. That's not true. That's not
Okay.
true. And we found out I gave her the wrong email for Jim, and so they had to
That was a
resend
delay.
it. So that was my fault.
That was a delay.
But the account setup had nothing to do with this. Like you said, the check was not requested to be cut till today. We got it approved, right? The last meeting, it got cut today. We followed the process, which is what we should have done in the first place. And I'm glad to know that it's on the record that you're saying she had no idea about this, because this is gonna be really problematic when I bring her into this next meeting or ask her to join the Zoom and speak the truth. I'm gonna want an apology. I'm gonna expect an apology, and everybody in this room has heard you just say that. I've had multiple
We call-
conversations
That's what
with
Gina
Willowbrook
said.
Ford.
Trustee Robinson,
Can we call the vote?
roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page,
Yes.
trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Geis.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, update from the 708 board from Yosh Yamanaka.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Yo Chamanaka, representing or reporting on behalf of the Mental Health Board. Last week, I sent to the trustees our budget for fiscal year 2024 through 2025. So I'll skip the line-by-line discussion in order to provide an overview of some of the salient facts. In the first 15 months, January 2023 through March 31, 2024, we will have spent $30,610. The coming fiscal year, April 1, 2024 through March 31, 2025, we expect to spend $32,957 and will set aside 10% or $3,296 for contingencies. That will bring our administrative costs to $36,253 for the year. Thus, our administrative costs for the coming year will be less than 4%. On January 31st, we launched our grant application portal and have received nearly 20 applications thus far. We expect to receive approximately $1 million this summer, and after repaying our loan to the township, we hope to disperse up to $875,000 to 10 or more behavioral health agencies. However, while crafting a responsible budget for fiscal year 2024 through 2025, our 708 board had overlooked administrative costs that will begin accruing in April 1, 2025. As such, we will need to amend our budget to set aside approximately $35,000 for administrative costs for the fiscal year 2025 through 2026. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, So, agenda item 9, payment of 708 bills of 1,035 to Bond and Dixon and 9,995 and 99.95 with the penalty for the creation and licensing of the grant application portal. Is there a motion to approve those?
I,
We did.
we did, I was gonna make a motion to remove them from the agenda because they were approved as part of the audit of expenses.
Okay, we just wanted to make sure that that had happened, and I wasn't sure if they were a part of the audit formally or not as of the agenda item. Okay, then,
I didn't get a chance to, for the update from the 708 board. My question is, where do we stand for the levy? Because the question that they had that said it wasn't filed properly.
It was filed properly. The issue is whether it counts as part of the aggregate levy of the township or is a separate standalone levy as approved by referendum. And I am currently in discussion with the county clerk's office, the state's attorney that advises the county clerk's office in figuring it out. So we're in the process of, I am of the opinion that the township did everything correctly. And it's my understanding the assistant state's attorney will be rendering an opinion soon about, and should reflect that as well. So
Did they tell you when? Because I mean, I think they're ready to send out.
they want to be done by the end of March, they said. So they said soon, I think. So I'm in contact with them.
Okay.
I've been in discussions and contact with them.
Okay, because I just
Yeah.
know that we're the only township that did it this way, that has a new board. So, and I got wrapped into this because someone
They-
sent them that my way, so.
And they probably contact you because you're the filer, and so.
Yeah, they wanted,
And
they
then
wanted the legal publication for the truth and taxation meeting, but we didn't have one.
Right.
Okay,
So what was their status?
Another township?
Hmm?
Within the Page County?
Yes,
And they had one, and we didn't?
they decided to do one, yes.
we're the only ones who didn't, is what the county told me.
Can you give
Okay.
us a temperature on how this, will it not get approved?
Right, will that affect, because the protocol wasn't followed, will that affect the levy then?
No, so if we'd have to determine, well, if the counties took it upon itself to say that the levy is somehow over the 105% of the prior year is invalid, we'd have to evaluate, and see what we would do, and it would really only affect the 708 board's levy. But I'm hopeful that that's not going to be the case. We were trying to be proactive once we got word from they contacted the clerk's office. I was in contact with assistant state's attorneys in Bob Berlin's office, whom I know, and we're working to resolution. As soon as I have some more information, I will provide it to the board. Keep you.
thank you. So you have a written supervisor's report where everything is at with regards to the food pantry. 758 families were served, 1,487 people, senior services, general assistance, transportation, and inside of the packet, there's an updated amount of costs, and with 635 rides in February, 151 for the program internally. There will be another opportunity at ARPA funds. We will request a freezer, refrigerator, and industrial size scale. And this is a very short time for the grant to be open, so it'll be open and closed within 2 months. If you're interested in putting in 75 words or sizable pictures for the first email newsletter, please get them in by Wednesday next week. The draft will be presented at the March 25th special meeting. A reminder that Sandmart extended their lease for 3 more years, so it's not possible for there to be another anything happening from this township board. It would be very helpful again to get the minutes on the website. That's the report.
Could I ask you a question? I missed what you said with the food pantry. So there's another ARPA grant and you chose what you will be asking for?
Again, the program is still open for 2 more months. No grant has been written. We heard about it yesterday. So there isn't a grant that has been offered. You all will see it next month. And fully any discussion of any other funds that can be applied. It is only for capital investments. It is not for food. So
I'm
this is
sorry,
a
I
new
apologize. I thought I heard
grant
you say.
that has not
that
yet
it's gonna be for-
been written. Trustee McGovern.
Can you give us a rundown of the newsletter plan? So we know you're asking for submissions by Wednesday, but I don't know if it's pertinent to what I'm advertising. So what is our timeline for newsletters? Do we have a?
So, we have a event coming up on April 13th. The one piece to note is we're collaborating with the Village of Lisle and Benedictine University for Sustainable Saturday on March 16th, 9 to noon.
I think my question was different.
And again, we have a event coming up on April 13th of 2024. So so again.
About frequency of newsletters.
Right,
not
so it's
events.
an email newsletter with 0 cost to the township. And 0 need for approval, and it's the exact same. I said that the draft will be presented at the March 25th special meeting.
Okay. So we're gathering information for Wednesday. When's the next time we'll gather information?
So we're gonna try to do this on a monthly basis.
Okay, that answers my question.
So at the monthly meetings, we're going to make sure that there's a possible newsletter for an email that anybody that wants to sign up for it would get. And it would be gone over at the monthly meetings. Trustee Geist.
Will there be a link on our main page that says click here to subscribe to our newsletter?
There is.
On the main page?
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Was that recently added?
No, it's not recent.
I didn't remember seeing it.
Okay.
Page all the time.
Any other questions about the newsletter or the supervisor's report? Okay, then moving on to the proclamation in support of Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. The Developmental Disabilities Assistance and Bill of Rights of 2000 assures that individuals with developmental disabilities and their families have access to a full array of community services, customized support and assistance to promote self-determination, independence, and community integration and inclusion. National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month celebrates the contributions of people with lived experience across Lisle Township and educates about issues they face in gaining full community inclusion. Whereas people with developmental disabilities improve the communities of Lisle Township with their strengths, abilities, and contributions, and activities during this month recognize and acknowledge the importance of community living for people with developmental disabilities and addresses how systemic barriers still exist that limit people with disabilities from enjoying equitable experience and living independent, productive lives within their communities. Now, therefore, I, Diane Hewitt, Supervisor of Lisle Township, do now proclaim March 2024 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in Lisle Township. 12, discussion and possible action on ordinance number 2024-003. An ordinance authorizing and adopting an amended purchasing and accounts payable policy and procedure for Lisle Township. Does anyone want
I'll
to?
make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-003, an ordinance authorizing adopting amended purchasing and accounts payable policy and procedure for Lisle Township.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Robinson and Trustee Page. Now we're at discussion. Clerk Polowitz.
I would ask that the purchasing policy updates that I sent be included in that motion. There are some tweaks, but there's also some bigger things into there that I had sent.
Printed it out, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, some are just questions, but if we could incorporate this into the resolution, that would be great.
Why wasn't it included?
It's my fault. I went once over before the meeting today, and some things weren't written the way I thought they were written from. And yeah, so.
It's clear in that ordinance that it doesn't apply to the whole district.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's on page 6.
The township administrator wasn't sure that all of the changes were necessary. He said this afternoon. Are there any changes that the board wishes to make?
He did not call me and I
And I'm not feel comfortable approving it.
I make a motion to call the question.
Okay, calling the question, roll call vote, Clerk Pollitt.
And so the motion is to accept it as it is
As-
without the amendments.
Correct.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah, well, it's a yes.
but here's why I went through all this. What we're understanding is that the staff is really, they really need to do their jobs and they're not, the lack of a purchasing policy is impeding them. I agree. What you.
Then make a motion to
But
amend
this-
it,
fix it.
to
This has to-
include that.
Not everybody has seen it though, not everybody's gone.
Then we should approve it.
So is your vote a yes or? I'm still gonna say yes, but I'm gonna say yes because I really need I need this office to be able to do the job that they're gonna do. And I'm very comfortable with the safeties that have been put in place to date. Most especially after going to the audit this month and seeing the purchase orders and the receipts and everything else. I feel like we've made some headway that way, and I feel like any glitch, anything that happens, we'll know immediately.
So we're gonna,
What are we keeping?
So
them
we're
from
a
doing?
yes with trustee Page, trustee McGovern.
I am a no. I feel that we've spent a lot of time on this and I am not satisfied until we have it right, because we've been trying to make it right. And to be super clear, what we're trying to protect are some issues that we have felt injury with before. So I do think it needs to be fertilized a little bit more before, and I think it's something that Jim can work on with, the help of the board during the week.
What's
Okay,
one
and
more-
clerk and trustee Geist.
I'm a hard no, and I don't understand what the urgency is. I don't know how anybody's work is being impeded. It's not difficult to create purchase orders. It's not difficult to create accounts. I don't understand how we're impeding anyone's performance, and I would like to know which staff member is having trouble doing their work because of this purchasing policy so that we can be more specific.
Okay, is there, so, we've already just finished the roll
That's, you
call.
haven't voted.
Oh, so I'm a yes.
She has called you.
of course, yeah. So I'm just gonna get one more thing, and I know the vote's over, but we do have a meeting on March 26th, and we could have
Right,
voted
we
on
could've.
this.
And you
That's-
can amend it as well.
Yeah, but Good luck.
Okay, then the motion passes and we have a purchasing policy. Next is discussion and possible action on resolution 2024-02, a resolution approving designated and authorized banking facilities and improving the opening of a credit card.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-002, a resolution approving designated and authorized banking facilities and approving the opening of a credit card.
I will second. Thank you, trustee Robinson and trustee Page. Any other discussion now?
Wow.
yeah,
I'm
Here
not
we
sure, this was all agreed on. We all.
No, we didn't agree on that part. We agreed on deadly changes and it's
we're
never.
we're just so close. We're
We
so
are
close.
Okay, so we're focused on, again, we're at discussion and people raise their hands when they want to be called. So does anybody else want to offer discussion?
I give up.
Okay, and then a roll call vote, Clerk Collins.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yeah.
Trustee McGovern.
No.
Trustee Geist.
No.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, the motion passes. A discussion and possible action about the DuPage County ARPA grant and approval to use said funds for the purchase of refrigerated truck, shelves, volunteer software, freezers and
I make a
refrigerators.
motion to approve.
Second.
You're approving everything.
We need to go into detail of which, in particular, the main one that you wanna, I mean,
Because like I told Mr. Marino earlier
Trustee
today,
Geist.
I told Mr. Marino today, Kim and, is it John? You helping him? What's the name of the gentleman from your office?
Brad.
Brad, sorry, I apologize. I thought, I am not a mechanical, person. I don't have any experience. I believe in staying in my lane. And I really felt the two of them should tell us which of the three is the best selection. But I think we can still approve that we're purchasing, we can approve that we're purchasing it.
So we need to go into the details of which ones you're purchasing because, and we need to organize in order of the ones and again, we're gonna start with the truck and then we'll go to each one to make sure that they're properly approved. So the truck and, sorry.
If I may,
Attorney
from the
Secretary.
administrator, I believe he also provided, he suggests of giving authorization to you pick your top three, just in case after you approve, the next one's
I
not.
pushed back and said, you pick the top three.
Oh,
You and
okay.
Brad who's mechanical, looks at the top, picks the top three. We shouldn't pick the top three. We're not.
So
I mean,
this
that's
is your job though, is to
Pictures?
choose the top three trucks. This is what needs to be approved by the purchasing policy. So,
Give them a range. of
just
purposes?
start with the trucks, we do, and it was all in the packet. Put together, if you want to start with the trucks, the first, I mean, there's literally 7 options. So we have, again, the 4 rider trucks, 1 Penske, 1 commercial, truck trailer, and then, 2. Highway Commissioner Young.
I suggest that you give the committee, whoever the committee is, authority to spend up to X dollars. I called both Penske and Ryder today. They're willing to give you 15% off the published pricing. They both have extended warranties, about $6,000 a year. But before you decide on the truck, I think you gotta know how long is it gonna be that you need. There's, when you buy a refrigerator, a air conditioner for your house, you buy different sizes depending on the size of your house. So I think you need to know how long is the longest run that you're gonna have with the refrigerator. So you make sure you buy a truck that's gonna cover that length of time. Also, do you want to freeze the food? Or do you just want to keep it cool?
We want to keep it cool.
Well, nobody was able to answer the question when I asked the administrator.
Well, you didn't, I don't know that he knew, but we definitely do not need to freeze the
How
food.
long's the longest run?
The longest run is at the very most 4 hours.
Some of them don't. So what I suggest you do is both, Ryder, and the other one are gonna send 4 trucks. They're gonna name their 2 biggest ones. In between the administrator and Brad, they pick the 2 that they think is best. Go look at them and make them.
So none of those are on this list?
I don't know whether they will be or not.
Okay, and of the 7 on this list, only 3 are viable. The other 4 are 26,000 pounds, which puts it in a different category of licensing. So only 3 of the trucks are 16,000 pounds and, I'm sorry, 2 are 16,000, 1 is 15,100.
No, under, at 26,000, it does not require a CDL.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So 26,000 is the magic number of not requiring a CDL.
But you have
All
their-
of these were literally chosen by the township administrator, understanding that we were not requiring a CDL.
But not knowing what kind of pulling capacity they had. Is the emotion.
Okay, so we're trying to figure out which you would order the top 3 trucks? Or do you want to say that you want to not choose any of these 3 and allow Brad and the township administrator and myself to go figure out again, the best option. The key piece here is refrigeration hours, making sure that they're not gonna be over 26,000 pounds, and frankly, that they don't want to have, the director of the food pantry does not want to go above 16 feet.
Supervisor, you don't have a motion on the floor. This is.
Well, just what is trustee Robinson?
Actually,
Well, I wanted to check. I thought there was a motion on the floor.
No, I'm asking what you want to do.
I wanna make
We're
a-
Deferring to you.
I want to make a motion to approve purchase of a food pantry van, purchase price not to exceed $90,000.
Thank you.
a truck, right?
Sorry, thank you,
Refrigerated truck.
refrigerated truck,
Okay,
which meets the requirements of the township.
so that could be any.
Having a lift gate.
I would just
thought
request
we
that
had
the
to
motion
specify.
would be amended in two ways. One, to include the specific finding that the formal bidding process is not required and is not feasible for this particular purchase. And then secondly, to delegate the final decision to the township administrator with the advice of Brett or whoever you want to.
The road district.
Road district,
And superintendent.
yes, road district
Okay.
superintendent.
Do I need to say that or?
And the director of the food pantry who will be driving it and has opinion about what he's
yeah.
writing.
That's, yeah,
In the 90, I would also include a 1-year warranty or two, whatever you want to extend.
I think you did mention that in to back to that.
Yeah.
but it should be in the motion to, that what you're approving and directing him to do. You're delegating him the authority, but it has to have the 1 year, whatever warranty you want to do. So if it's a 1 year, whatever, up to, not, purchase price not to exceed 90,000 is what he had requested the approval be. And that, the finding of, unfeasibility and non-application of formal bidding process. And, it would have to be determined by the, township administrator, road district superintendent, and, if the food pantry, director together.
And include the cost of the first trip to the mechanic for maintenance, which would be also likely covered under the grant.
Okay.
So we have a motion.
Do I have to say that or?
You can say so moved
So
if it
moved
includes,
Second.
As for every,
whether it's just me or if you want to include what the supervisor.
and including the supervisors.
Okay.
Thank you, trustee Robinson. There's a second from trustee Geist. And then any other discussion and a roll call vote.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Geis.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Page. Yes. Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. So next is the software. You all got a variety of different quotes and information for software. Betterment Impact is the one that has the pieces that we need to use for the township and that the director would like to have. Is there the director of the food pantry, is there a motion to approve the purchase of Betterment Impact for volunteer management?
Can we discuss this?
This is well, we're about to get to discussion right after a motion is on the table.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of. What was it again?
Betterment Impact.
Betterment Impact software as per request of the food pantry director.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson and trustee Page. And discussion, we went through, these are the main companies that gave bids or quotes. So Logistics, Line Up Teams, Volunteer Matters, Point App, and Affaro gave the quote. There's various prices included. I was still waiting to hear back from several of them. They're very much like apples and oranges as to what they do and what we need. And so Affaro gave us a quote of $5,000 to $10,000 with the annual subscription ranging from 200 to 500 a month. That was one, and the others didn't have what we needed. So there's really one main choice that you have. And with the personal, there's a video included.
So how many quotes did you get? And one of the quotes were anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000?
There's 3 quotes included. So one was $99 a month, as you can see with the Point app was $99 a month and it didn't have what we needed. Affaro was 5,000 to 10,000 with a 250 to 500 a month
piece, and then we had betterment impact. So those are the three quotes that we had, and again, they were very, very different in their options. So
Could I
is
ask you
there,
for the future to have them a little bit more labeled out so we can look at them right next to each other? To have a quote that says anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 isn't really a quote.
What happens after the thing?
And the other thing I don't understand is how many softwares do we now have for the food pantry? What is this one for?
we only have one other software for the food pantry,
This one is for what?
volunteer management.
This is the volunteer management. The one that you donated for a year is for what?
That's for inventory and registration of the people. So it's very different options of what you do with them.
That $3,000 is not going to do any of that?
Okay, this is again for the volunteer. It does not do, this is purely for volunteer management. So this
For that
quote,
much money?
yes, it does.
Yeah.
And we have quite a few volunteers, so it would be 1,212 for the annual subscription.
How many volunteers do we have, Diane? Because I know that we've lost some because procedures weren't being followed.
Actually, we have a whole lot of volunteers. On the average day, we generally have about 8 to 9.
Eight. That's good.
And we have a whole lot more than that. So we've actually gained a whole lot of volunteers. Our volunteer force is really bloomed and blossomed.
Where do they check in? Do they check in at the front or do they check in just?
They check in with Jordan. Jordan is in charge of the
So
volunteers.
Jordan knows how many volunteers he has and he has more than 8 or 9.
I am positive that he has a whole spreadsheet and we're at pen and paper level. And right now, this is a whole lot better for
What's wrong with
him
using?
managing his volunteers. Any other discussion?
Do we need more than a spreadsheet?
Yes,
Honestly, I mean,
we do.
I don't understand fully.
What about sign up genius? It's free.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything of what, one of the pieces that it does, it would tell Jordan and it would tell the volunteers exactly how many staff we have at any time. And so if we had this, we could say, oh, you know what, we have a total of this many volunteers.
Does that?
It doesn't do the same. And so it varies
do
much,
that.
it really does not. And
It
it's a
shows
very,
you where the holes are.
it
and
really
shows
does
you where you
not.
need to fill- I've used it
When
for
did these-
years. Have you ever used it as a parent volunteer?
yes, I have.
Where?
At a number of the organizations that I lead as a
Then
volunteer
you know it
coordinator.
does that.
It does not do anything of what we need to do. Trustee, Robinson.
So this is part of ARPA funding, right?
Yes,
It'll be funded by the ARPA funds,
The
Yes.
first year.
first year, and we can assess how impactful it is, right?
Yes.
How much value it's bringing in the first year, right? And we have to make a decision and purchase and execute by the individual.
Okay, true.
That,
That's fine. I forgot to ask you a question. What, do we have a cost of refrigerant's expensive? Is that built into the grant too, the cost of that for a year
yes.
for the truck?
Sorry, let me rewind that. We don't have it's not a part of the grant to have updated maintenance. That's not a part of the cost.
It won't include refrigerant?
No.
Do we have a quote on refrigerant?
So one of the pieces that I just amended it to do in this is to have the first visit from the mechanic be a part of the grant request.
So get the refrigerant filled?
Exactly. So again, that's why I amended it, was to make sure that all pieces and all components of the future truck have the refrigerants, have whatever they need.
How frequently do you need refrigerant?
I don't have that number right off the top of my head.
I don't.
Okay,
I
so
didn't
we're
know if it was
focused.
Part of it. I forgot to ask that question.
Okay, so we're
Still within the grant though.
we're actually focused on the volunteer management
Okay, but it's
software.
still within the grant, so that's why I asked.
Okay, so can we call the question with, or are we done with discussion for the volunteer software? Trustee McGovern.
Does this require additional computers too, or? are
No.
we-
It's a cloud-based system. It would be able to be accessed from the user's phone from the software or from the hardware that we currently have.
I think,
So no hardware is required.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're done with the discussion for the software.
Can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Then better impact will be acquired. Next is freezers.
Well, we know this is not an option. We need these because they're having a lot of mechanical issues from the conversation with Jordan.
Okay, so there's a number, 6 quotes here. The piece to note is the amount of cubic feet and the quality that they have. This web restaurant store is the one that Jordan would like. For the refrigerator,
How long will it take to get delivery? Is it fast?
it's generally very fast, usually ships in 1 business day.
Excellent. How soon can we get it?
It usually ships in 1 business day. I'm sure that as soon as we figure out how we can order from web
You
restaurants.
answered that it ships in 1 day. I was saying like, how soon will you be able to order it? Do you have to wait for the grant money to be in our account? Like, I guess.
Okay,
we should
so
have been
this
more
is a
specific.
reimbursement piece. So anytime that this is a reimbursement, we have to purchase it. So we don't know if they accept, we need to get a credit card, for example, so that we can purchase this. I don't know if we can just write a check. So again, we're going to figure that out and get the ability to purchase it after we have the approval to do so.
I'm 100% sure this company can send us an invoice. We can send them a check.
But just if I may, just most ARPA funds and how this goes is you, through the county, you pay and then they reimburse.
But we can order it right away, because he had expressed to me 2 days ago when I spoke to him that they're really struggling with the research refrigerators that need to be replaced, so. I told him I knew we understood the importance of it, so. So I'm just thinking if we agree tonight, then we like ask them for a quote to like a purchase order tomorrow or within a couple of days so that we can then send them payment.
So we have to create the account and go from there. And again, we very much agree that we need to get this going as fast as we can, but we need to have the approval to do so. We needed also to have a credit card option if they do not allow a check. So we will figure out the next steps as soon as we get.
Will the
some
township administrator
approval.
be making that phone call about asking about the account situation, or will Jordan be making that call?
It would be the township administrator.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, could we have a roll call vote? Or sorry, there's no motion, yeah.
I'll make a motion to purchase 365.6 cubic feet refrigerators as per requested by the director of the food pantry.
It was, it's actually,
Four,
okay, so
right?
there's,
Option 4.
there, it's actually, for the refrigerator, we had only applied for one, and this is actually the refrigerator. So there's a freezer issue,
Yeah, sorry, so what are we?
so it would be one, sorry, this was somehow the wrong link for the, this is the one he wants for refrigerator.
Can you bring it up then, please? The link. Okay. So he only wants one of those.
Yes. One solid door reach in
Okay, I'll
refrigerator.
amend the motion. Can you scroll down, please? To authorize the purchase of one, I'd like to see the product number, the product at the top. Okay, whatever.
It's
Yeah.
The True P72 HC 78 and an 8 solid door reach in refrigerator as directed, or as requested by the director of the food pantry.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, and a roll call vote.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page? Yes. Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. This was the freezer. They look very similar to the ones that we have. They're all stainless steel, and this was the freezer that he wanted. So it's 72 cubic feet, Coolmore. It's from Home Depot.
I'll make a motion to accept.
And these are three. This is the three freezers.
Can I ask a question real quick first? Is there no, like, not wholesale, but like, is there no program specifically for government entities to make these purchases at a discounted rate?
So we are a part of, we just approved, and my computer's slightly.
And I know we have a grant. I'm just asking, just in general.
Warehouse
so we know.
There's Warehouse Direct, and if you look at the links that I put for Warehouse Direct, they didn't give us hardly any options. So the Warehouse Direct options were very tiny.
Okay, that's okay.
So I can find them again, but they're
No, it's okay.
extremely small, so we can write, if you wish.
It's fine. I just was, it's like more of a general question, like, is there some program that gives us some?
Not that the township administrator or myself or the director of the food pantry found, no.
Okay.
So Web Restaurants is the main place where these can be found.
The only
As
other
well
thing
as
I
Home
would
Depot.
add is we have Gator Shop right here, and it's part of the purchasing policy that we should always try to patronize the local.
Oh, that's a good point. Did we check
Businesses
there?
in the township.
So we couldn't find anywhere and anyone or anywhere that had a similar piece that we were looking for.
Did we call Gator to see if they could order a piece that we knew we liked?
I don't know
Give
if
them
that
that business.
particular business was shopped for. I do know that we have shopped extensively for this, and this is where we were at with the purchases and with.
Oh, no, I
trying to
appreciate
find
the
that.
time and effort that's been put into this. I know it's not been an easy task. But I do think it's a valid point to be trying to support businesses within Lisle Township. And it is down the street from this office.
Okay, agreed. And we have more freezers and more refrigerators that we're likely to buy in the near distant month.
Perfect. So could we just make it a priority to try to patronize them next
Of
time?
course. We didn't, I'm pretty sure that was, I don't know that it was looked at, but it didn't make the qualifying
Well,
list.
Mr. Marino is not from Lisle, so he may not even know to look in Lisle. He's from pretty far up north, right? So that would have been, I thought he was. He's not far.
No, he's homework.
Not far. I thought he had a big commute.
Okay, so does anybody want to make a motion
There is a
to?
motion.
I made the motion to accept the 372 cubic foot commercial triple door reach-in upright freezer. Coolmore brand.
Say that 3 times.
Thank you, trustee Page, in a second.
Second.
Thank you, trustee McGovern. Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, the last piece is shelved. And there was not anything that was, they were very different in size capabilities. Web Restaurants, Uline, Home Depot were the main places, and Warehouse Direct where we got the bids from. So the place that he wanted was from Web Restaurants. And he wanted 4 of these and 6 of these. So these are the 2 that he would like to have. Is there a motion to buy 4?
I'll make a motion for the 4 shelves as proposed by the pantry director.
I'll second.
And the 4 and the 6, so 10 total. And then any other discussion? And a roll call vote?
Trustee Geis? Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, now we're going to the motion passes. Next is the discussion and approval of the agenda for the April 9th annual town meeting. And with the direction of the clerk to give legal notice about the annual town meeting and the agenda. The township attorney gave us some information about an easement piece that needs to be added to the town hall. So
Could I ask that we just go down? Could I do this?
Great.
Do you mind? Okay, first thing I wanted to ask is, location or, location. We have on hold the Lisle Senior High School as we did last year. This says 7 o'clock, but do we want to move that up to like 6:30? With last year, I don't know how long I know you added time to it, but, I was looking for 3 hours, but I mean, we could do 6:30, get there at 5:45, sign people in. Start at 6:30, which is the earliest we can do it, and then be done, hopefully, within, the full 3 hours.
We've already bumped this meeting up to 6:30, which is, you might as well stay consistent.
So that's the first question. You have the facilities, the facilities, application that I sent to you. Diane and to Jen Marino, and so that last year it was 920, well, actually it was more because you added more hours on. It should be, if it's 3 hours, it should be like $960. So we're gonna confirm that, but we'll have this sent to Marilyn Buckles at the district office, and we'll have to give them a deposit. So it might be helpful to get a motion to approve.
And will they send a check?
$150 check, yes, they will. So that would be for, I could keep going, or
I'll
should
make
I
a motion
stop?
to approve the venue and to pay the venue of Lisle Senior High. I'll second.
Do we need to say $960 plus
Well,
approve the deposit, writing a deposit check, right?
right, yeah, that 960 could change just a little bit.
Oh,
So, but I think, I don't think the deposit will change off of the 150.
okay, so
Do
do
you
we
know,
need that as part of the motion?
Excuse me,
If if you know like a max of the possible, you say just do it.
well, how much did you spend last year? Cause I knew it to be 921, but I think you put extra hours. Do you remember how much we paid last year?
not off the top of my head.
Was it over or under 1,000?
I'll make a motion to approve the facility.
It wasn't
usage
more than
payment of roughly
$1,200.
$1,000.
You, I would say like not to exceed 1,200.
Not to exceed.
Because it's not,
Okay,
And
$1,200.
so then you don't have to.
For building usage for the town hall annual.
issuance of the deposit. And issuance of deposit.
And issuance of
Thank
deposit.
you, trustee McGovern.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Page. Any other discussion? And a roll call vote on that?
Trustee McGovern,
Yes.
trustee Page, trustee Geis.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes.
Okay, that's the first part. So we'll call the meeting to order 6:30. I did ask the scouts, I'm waiting for them to reply. Introduction of elected officials, the rest is, after 5, we're missing adoption of rules for the meeting. So that should be number 6, for the agenda. And then next to the minutes need to be approved. The report from the town clerk, I should have them within 30 days, so I wanted to ask when I can get those, the financial reports, okay, from the supervisor.
They're coming from the accounting, from Lauterbach and Ammon, so I'll ask them.
So can you go back to the rules? Do
Yeah.
we need to do any amending? Is there anything we need to adjust from last year? Are we anticipating? Remember, we changed the timeline for public comment last year. I think that we might want to visit how long we want to have public comment.
So, we had from last year, these are exactly like last year, consider reports, to hear public comment by any qualified Lisle Township elector not to exceed 3 minutes per speaker.
But do we want to set a limit? We do,
Oh, like
I know we talked
total?
about this last year, yeah, because, you know, for, even though Highway Commissioner Young explained himself, we still had like 40 minutes of public comment, right? So.
Is
we-
that
So-
legal?
It's a little different for an annual meeting,
Okay.
where it's the electors that, one of the reasons they're there is to talk.
Yeah,
So I don't know if you have if you should, in normal meetings, you can cap the total amount of public comment time.
sure.
I don't know if you can or should do that at an annual meeting, because, technically this is for all the people that come out and
Yeah. And I know we talked about that last year, so.
I
maybe,
will tell you, it
There just may be more
it
this
year.
stands where it is. It's number 15, so it's not, it's not up unless you wanted to move it up.
Mm-mm.
But, it's
I'd
kind of
like
the
to make a
last thing we're
recommendation to
doing.
move it at the end.
yeah,
It is. Because,
And as at 15 it is?
I mean, it's 15 and then 16 is set the date for the next meeting.
Yeah.
And then 17 is adjournment.
Perfect, okay, that's fine.
what you can maybe set in there and say the goal would be saying no more than 45 minutes, whatever, for public comment, and then the electors can approve extending it, something like that, but
No,
with some-
it's fine, as
yeah,
long as it's at the end,
at
so
the
we
end.
get the really good information.
yeah.
Here's what you don't want. You don't want people who've never come to a meeting to just listen to the same thing over and over. We want them to hear what's happening in the township, the positive things that are happening, what are our goals? We want good information, and we don't want to wear people out, right, with the same message over and over and over and over and over, right? So it's not that people, for what people be heard, but
Okay.
let's do that later so we can get the meat of the meeting out.
So
Okay.
one of the questions with the annual town meeting, though, is consider report of officers. We had not to exceed 5 minutes per agenda item. Do you want to make that 3 minutes just like the others? I know I
None
could
of
do
us
mine
spoke.
within 3. No, it's going to be, so mine would be
Right.
3. Supervisor Hewitt has a report 3.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask, the next one was General Assistant Food Pantry and Transportation
Yeah.
Report. I know it's under Supervisor Hewitt, but in the past, it always used to be staff, and it's
Yeah.
really nice to hear from
it
staff.
is, and I would
So
like
people
to,
can meet them.
I would like to hear from staff, and I would like to 3 minutes.
So the
Repeat 'em.
minutes, so, I'm sorry, Assessor Trowbridge
You
and
want-
Commissioner Young, are you okay with 3 minutes for reports, for your reports?
Yeah.
Yay, look how easy that was. See how easy that is? Okay,
So
so,
the 3 minutes, so the question would be, should the meeting rules change to consider reports of officers not to exceed 3 minutes?
correct. And we would like staff to give their reports.
Per agenda item.
Correct.
Okay, so you're gonna, so then staff would be forced to come and give a report, is you're forcing them?
No, I think that they all came last year, so I think they were happy
And
to be there.
they will be paid to come,
Okay.
is the other piece.
That sounds fair.
Uh-huh,
That
So
way we get to
you're-
hear from them, and the constituents should hear from them.
okay,
I
so
think
you're,
that's important for them to see their faces, like this is the face of general assistance, this is the face of the food pantry. Those are the people who they're gonna interact with and they need those services, not necessarily you, and it's nothing. Just, I think it makes sense for the community to see the people who are providing those services to them.
okay, so 3 minutes in total for all of, meaning 1 minute, I mean, total for all of the supervisors, all of the pieces
minutes
inside
per
the
person.
Per agenda
supervisors.
item.
Per agenda item, okay. Trustee Robinson,
This is a good discussion, because I think we should be specific then in number 10, if we're gonna be, that could be 3 people speaking.
Yes,
So
and they
that-
would each get their 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's not if we say per agenda item.
Yeah,
Per-
I caught that on her.
Per speaker per agenda item.
I think so.
as
Yeah.
opposed to 1 minute apiece, because
Right.
that's what it would be if it wasn't.
Oh, I hear what you're saying,
Per
yeah, so the way you said
speaker
it,
per agenda item. How about that? Is that too long?
I think that's great. And I'm excited to have, they're all
Yeah.
doing such good work.
Yeah.
They should have the
Show 'em
opportunity to
off.
be recognized, let's show them off,
Okay, so,
So then we have the commissioner report, the assessor report, and then You'll get the list of what do we have now for the approval level, to allow disposal of surplus property. You guys all put that together, right? Whatever you have. And that's now. Okay, so.
That's not for me, that's for.
Oh.
township.
That's just for the township. Okay, so you'll have to have a list of
Okay.
everything you have and wanna get rid of, right? Okay. Next one's gonna be a little bit, tricky here, so, number 14. I found under my door, a question, and it's a petition to be placed on the agenda. It's a public question. I know the supervisor said that she turned it in on the first to the assessor's office. But I'm not the assessor's office, so, and it's supposed to go to me. That's one part of this, but the bigger part of this is that none of the petitions have a circulator, nor are they notarized. And so this would have to be declined for addition into the annual town meeting. I talked with Downers Grove, they have the same petition, and they've rejected it too. And per TOI, per their attorney, for, the reasons of it needs a circulator, because how do you prove who signed it? I have the statute too. I think it's behind it.
Well, this is,
No, keep going.
yeah, this is for petitions for, like, if they were to petition the board directly to put something on the ballot, and you, like, a
That's what it
petition for,
says.
this is for the annual town meeting. So
Um,
it's a little
Look at the
different.
last page where it's highlighted. I mean, we've got two flaws here. One
Right.
is, how do we know who signed that? Because it doesn't have a circulator and it's not notarized. Number one. Number two, it was not delivered to me.
So that's two separate issues, right? So the circulator affidavit at the bottom of nominating petitions or petitions for referenda are those that you see with candidates, that if you were to petition and circulate for candidates, that you sign at the bottom of the sheet and says, I witnessed each of these signatures. This type of petition doesn't usually require that, because it's something that the electors just submit to the clerk. It's a written request, is what I think the town code says. It's different, even though they're requesting that the electors consider approving the submission of a of a non-binding question onto the ballot. It's different. It's not, if they were to come and petition the body itself and say, you need to put this on right now, then you would require a circulator affidavit, because it would be subject to Article 28 of the election code.
Why did Downers Grove have to?
I don't know what their opinion is. I don't know.
Well, it was
I-
POI's opinion and it was their attorney's opinion.
I mean, I'm
And
happy
it
to talk
doesn't
to them. I've.
Well, I didn't receive it on time either.
Yeah, and so that's the other issue that if it wasn't submitted to the clerk by March 1st, then that's a different issue, so.
So there were, I mean, this is not my petition by any means, and I could guess as to who filed it, but I have two witnesses as to when I came to the clerk's office
You
on
didn't come
March
to the
1st.
clerk's office.
So I
You
went to
the
the,
assessor's office and you
which
gave
is
it
where
to
your
Michelle.
office
That's,
is.
she's not my secretary. She is not the clerk. You know more than anybody. You're the one who turned it in. So you're the one who looked to file it. You handed it to Michelle and said, it's in a folder saying, give this to the clerk, and no sense of urgency, not saying anything that it was. You didn't call me, you didn't email me, nothing. It took till March 6th when you asked for some specific wording, and I said, what are you referring to? And you said, on March 1st, I turned in, well, you didn't turn in, you gave it to Michelle, who works for the assessor. Yeah, I don't have someone working for me, and as the statute says, and as the website instructions say, the website instructions say exactly how to reach the clerk. and you didn't do that.
What
So
time,
would you
when
like
was it submitted? 3 o'clock on a Friday?
That's, I was told it was submitted by Diane. I don't know that to be true, but March 1st at 3 o'clock. But I had no knowledge of that. The first knowledge I had was on March 6th, when the supervisor asked for the wording of something that I never saw before.
That would have been.
So, township administrator, township attorney, Steckler. I went to the office that, again, the clerk resides at the township, assessor's office. And you can't just put something underneath her door. You have to give it to Michelle, who then gives it
That's
to
not true.
the clerk.
You go around the corner and there's my door.
Right.
You didn't even do that. You gave it to the assessor's employees. Not much. She doesn't work for me. She doesn't work with me. She has nothing to do with me. You just threw something at her, is what you did. And then look at the website. It's always been there. And look up the clerk and it says how to file. How to file anything with the clerk. It's to call the clerk and schedule a time. Every other time I've had this, I've always had a phone call or an email. And if I wasn't able to be here on the day, like the mental health board, we completely arranged it, how to accept it and the whole bit. This was completely unknown to me. It was not filed with the clerk. And no one would think it would be.
So. I don't know, you know, what, there's no, the law requires that there's 15 or more registered voters may request an agenda item for consideration at the annual meeting by giving written notice of that request to the township clerk no later than March 1st. So I guess if that notice wasn't received, that's up to the board to determine. If it was sufficient, I believe that the form, I would disagree with TOI, and I'm gonna call them in the morning because they're wrong. That it's a different type of petition. I believe that the form of the petition is actually sufficient. The other consideration I get is that, and this goes to why the form of the petition is sufficient in this regard. It's not putting the question on the ballot. It's putting it on the agenda of the annual town meeting
Right.
for the electors to consider whether even to put it on the ballot of a non-binding
But if it's
question.
not on the agenda, it doesn't go on the ballot.
Correct. It can't unless they petition you directly with a, you know, to petition the township to put it on. the
Yeah.
ballot. Which that would be where the Article 28.
Yeah, I think
So
it's
that's-
important to
that's-
find out,
Yeah,
like what you said, like to find out from TOI, like what their position is, but also if it wasn't turned in on time, we didn't follow procedure, so I don't think we can approve it.
And here's my problem is there's other, sorry, you could go ahead.
Well, I was gonna ask the question. So there is another mechanism for the citizens to get a referendum question on the ballot for November, other than approving it in the town hall meeting?
yes, that, I don't think the time has run yet. I think they'd have to file it by June. They'd have to get 8% of the signatures of the registered voters in the township for a non-binding question. So it's a lot of signatures, but that's a mechanism. They file it directly with the clerk and it has to go.
Okay.
And here's my problem with this, because I've had members of the public recently wanting to put something on the town hall agenda in the same way. And I had to tell them no, because it's not on time. It's March 1st was the date. And if we're gonna, if we accept that, then I have to accept every other one that comes in if it's late or it's just thrown under a door anywhere. That's not the way we file things. And I would like your vote on that. I'm not sure I need it, because I think I'm supposed to decide, but it's what's on the agenda, so.
Well, I think you want our support. I mean, I know you.
Does this need a motion?
I
think we have to approve.
No, you have to
So
approve
you're
the
approving the
agenda.
agenda, so yeah.
So effectively it does.
Well, if that item didn't, I mean, how would that look to the community? This is a public meeting. We're discussing that we're gonna add something that wasn't turned in time, but then we didn't honor their request. I think that looks but I don't think that that's a good one.
So you all are defining what is turned in on time and it was delivered to the office that she is
It wasn't in
inhabiting.
my office. My office is around the corner.
It was
It has a
3
big
o'clock
name
a
on
Friday
it.
to somebody
hard to
else
miss.
and not the supervisor. That's the challenge. If it was maybe earlier in the day and she would have had time to get it to her, I don't know. But if you, Clerk Powers did mention that this was a similar situation with the mental health board, but you made arrangements with her and you communicated with her, so she knew that it was coming and you guys made a plan. But if there was no communication, how would she have known to look for it or to expect it or to come up with an alternate plan? So I say it doesn't go on the agenda.
And I didn't give a
Okay.
receipt or anything like that.
And this is not my referendum, so again, I wasn't the one that was turning it in. I think it was hold on, it was inadvertently turned into me, which it should have been turned into you. So I was passing it along,
Yeah.
meaning that this is not my referendum.
Avoid
So-
it because it doesn't matter who turned it in. It doesn't matter whether it's yours or trustee McGovern's or, you know.
I'm simply saying this was not my referendum question. So, okay, so we're moving on. You don't want it, do you want this on the agenda or
I'm
not?
not supporting it.
We can't. It wouldn't be fair to the people she's already told no to.
Okay.
That would look bad.
Okay, so 15 is not going to be there. So you have two choices of the approval of reciprocal, and Ross, do you want to explain the future 15 options?
Yeah, and so, I sent a little bit more detail than work with, the assessor, preliminarily about this. I got a call, from the attorney representing the neighboring building next to 2121 Ogden Avenue. And basically, how it's already working is in the driveway, both parties use the driveway to turn trucks around. And we just need to both sides need to grant an access easement to kind of, clarify and legalize that you're able to use each other's property.
Why would that come up now?
Because we just bought the property.
Because we bought the property.
But we were all using it before. What precipitated it, would you say?
Trustee Robinson.
Well, I think the assessor can answer that.
The owner of the 2115, 2117 wanted to formalize a prompt access agreement.
Oh.
So this was not initiated by us, this was initiated by them to do this, and we insisted that it would not have any adverse impact on us. But when putting this in place, including minimizing legal.
Would there be a way to limit the term of that agreement so that if we down the road you decided it for whatever reason, it didn't work, especially like if we had any changes to the building based on potential growth and programming, that we would be able to revisit it? Like, is it gonna be is it gonna be a renewable agreement? Does it make sense?
It was a request by that particular property owner, and I did not, rather than discuss the details of it, I referred it to the council. And I can only speak from what I see generally, those temporary easements and temporary access easements are they're not very typical. I can't explain it beyond.
Yeah, as presented, it didn't really seem, this would run with the land once it's recorded. It would be a permanent easement. I mean, there could be breaches which would violate it, but this really just clarifies, it's not for parking. It's not like they can park trucks or anything on the township's property or block the township's property. It's just that they can use, as they've been doing, the driveway to turn around, just like we use the driveway to turn around. Because if I showed you the parcels in the email, because it's split right down, so that's really why. And so it's just it really is probably just a good thing to have, and it defines that, if we were to sell the building, that those rights would remain. If they were to sell the building and someone who doesn't like the township having trucks that turn around, that they wouldn't be able to preclude us from using half the driveway and there's no cost or anything like that the township on that regard, so.
But you noted that he noted that it's not, Dr. Assessor, you noted that it's not typical, so I'm just curious
But
what is.
temporary, like setting a limit on.
My
Yeah.
suggestion is temporary.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So 15 or 16, or which one do you want? The first
I
one
would
or the
suggest
second
the
one?
first one, so it's very limited and not the broad, because if you put that on the agenda, it looks like we're trying to buy something. And that might get people,
Okay.
that would be my suggestion.
The only reason I suggested a little bit broader is in case anything else comes up. I don't foresee it. And I don't know if Assessor Trowbridge one foresees anything else in the building or in that area, but I don't foresee it, but it would just allow the township to not have to call a special town meeting to do anything further with this property. But then again, it's also, we don't have to do that. We can just keep it limited if that's what the board wants to keep.
So which one do you want? Any other discussion? Assessor Trowbridge, do you have a preference?
But, I would prefer the first, I'm not. I know I say this, I'll regret it, I have no, have not observed anything, subsequent to the transfer, other than this particular issue, which we were not having problems with to begin with. It's the neighbor that was requesting this, and it's mutually beneficial because we have vehicles, not only from our office, but, some of the, tenants that utilize that other side, and just to have this formalized, I think is appropriate. But I can't think of anything else that we would need, that would require the second request, that would, obtain additional property for that.
Okay, so does the trustee want to make a motion of which one they would prefer?
Well, I just realized there's a 215s. I don't know. Well, which would you recommend?
He just said the first
Yeah.
one. So, the reason why there's 215s is because it will end up being 15.
Oh, it's really A.
So it's A or B.
Gotcha.
So is there,
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 15A, approval of the reciprocal cross access easement for 2115 and 2117 Ogden Avenue and 2121 Ogden Avenue, Lisle.
thank you, trustee McGovern and trustee Geis, and then a roll call vote, please.
Trustee McGovern,
Yes.
trustee Geis.
Yeah.
Trustee Page,
Yes.
Supervisor Healy.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I will let you trade.
Sorry.
Okay,
How do you want?
Um,
How do you want? You want to trade? Let's do it.
well, it's,
And then the only other question I have, so we don't have this issue, Attorney Seckler, will you be there or?
I'm happy to be, if the board had, you know.
We had this question last
I
time.
didn't have it last time. I don't think we had legal
I don't think
representation.
you did last year.
you did, but she was she actually lived in the township, so this is a different scenario. Ross doesn't live in the township. But do you feel, does the board wish him to be there? And I know he has other townships that he's probably gonna be.
Could you just be on call to us? Could we send you a text if we have a concern? We can call you.
Probably I'll be, if I'm not coming, I plan to come here and not send anyone else for your guys' annual. But if I'll be at somewhere else, but I can be available by probably text message then. If that's,
I'm just trying to.
yeah, no, I know,
make
I
you a
understand,
trip out here.
I understand. I'll honestly probably be at a neighboring township, but I'm not totally sure yet.
Do we have to, okay, do we have to,
You can tell me,
yeah,
know,
we don't have to.
you don't
decide,
have
we
to decide, but not, probably, hopefully not day of, maybe like next week, but you know,
Couple days, some of that.
yeah.
Okay, then are we approving the town hall agenda as amended?
Yeah, unless anybody has anything else on it that they feel. Yeah.
And I
I
just
know that
made
was long.
So we need to make a motion to approve the annual town hall, agenda?
And I just made the amendments as we were talking through it, the adjustments.
Adjustments.
So so we have a first
I'll second.
and a second, and then any discussion?
And a roll call vote.
Trustee Geis.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes,
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. And is there a motion to approve the proposed Lisle Township annual meeting rules, understanding that we are just, these are not gonna be approved until the town hall? They're just the proposed meeting rules.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed town hall meeting rules.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee McGeist, or trustee McGovern and trustee Page. Any other discussion? And then the
It should
Was
say
that-
6:30 instead of 7.
right, I changed that.
And then
Um,
it's 3 minutes.
right, I
Per
changed it
speaker,
all
yeah.
while we were talking. And I'm printing out the copies as we speak. So before at the next, in another, a few minutes, they can be picked up. Okay, then, anything else on the town hall?
I guess one more, yeah, you did say it, number 16, April 8th, 2025. It says at 7 o'clock. Do you want to leave it there or you want to do 6:30? You know, that's
Oh,
number
yeah.
16
Oh, yeah.
for
I
the
think we
next
did.
meeting.
Yeah, we need to vote to change it.
You don't need to vote to change it, but just, you know, did you want that changed on there too?
What did you say last year? It was,
Next year,
Next year, does it last year?
You say this year it was at 7.
This year's was at 7, but we just changed it to 6:30.
It was approved last year at 7.
It was.
We
So
can
do you
change
think
that.
Can
that's-
change it.
I
Great.
thought the electric.
I will tell you the truth, last year, it wasn't April 9th either, we approved a different date.
yes, we changed
that
it.
was
Because it's
Ramadan.
Ramadan.
Right, it was
Well,
the
but if-
start of
For
Ramadan.
this year,
Next year probably be election.
It was.
No,
religious holiday, I thought it
it's
was
not.
the-
so
It's the
whatever,
week after.
whatever
Yes,
is legal, whatever's the right thing to do. So I don't know if you want to change that, you know, the 16, or I'm not, number 16,
to 6:30.
to 6:30.
you got that?
Yes, it's all changed. Assume that was done too. Okay, then, we're done with the town hall discussion. Item number 15. On to
We just
item-
need a vote.
we voted for it as
We
an
approved it, and then we
individual.
said, what about the time?
We
Right,
just didn't do a vote. We did.
okay,
we
roll
did.
call vote to make sure.
Trustee McGovern, trustee
Yes.
McGovern, right, I'm right, trustee McGovern, trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Geis, Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, now to agenda item 16,
Yeah.
the amended budget appropriation ordinance, trustee Robinson.
Well, I'll make a motion that the board approve the amended budget and appropriate ordinance for Lisle Township fiscal 23. No?
Well,
Sorry.
we're not,
You're not approving it.
no, not until the
Okay, sorry,
23rd.
well, approve it to present.
If
Do we need to talk about it?
if you want to, you can, I guess you can move to open discussion.
Well, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so finance committee, we met and the finance committee recommended presenting it in its current form on the 25th. So I don't know if we need to have any more discussion on it.
I have a couple of things to note on it, and I can say it, you weren't here.
Pieces.
Well, I did, you were not here. Okay, so couple things. Where are we? I'm gonna bring up the IMRF. It looks like it was reduced for the assessor's office, but it was not reduced for the supervisor, 10/16/30. That should change to 35,625. I mean, do the math again, but if the difference for the one is 7.9%, it should come off of 16/30, 35,625. Okay,
Are we talking about the current fiscal year?
I apologize, are we,
We're talking about the current fiscal year.
never mind.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's confusing. So that, I just want to make sure, right? So that's number 16. So that will be presented at the public budget meeting on the 25th in its current for
The hearing
the public budget hearing. Thank you.
and the special meeting is when it's approved.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Sorry, in Germany, you didn't have a discussion?
Okay, any other discussion on 16?
You mean relevant discussion?
And then any other discussion on 17? Which is the 24-25 at Clerk
Yeah,
Polowitz.
that's where I'll jump in. Is that, and I probably, I'm just looking and I see subtraction on one, and I'm not seeing it on 1630. IMRF supervisor should be brought down to 35,625, and anything else that corresponds to the budget and the salaries probably should be relooked at as well, because they are probably off as well. The Community Career Center, that's 103108. I would suggest, once again, this year, I would suggest to bring it down to at least $5,000. That's what it seems the other areas are doing. When you looked at what, how many people are utilizing it, and you look through all that,
That brings the question.
Trustee, guys?
We still, thank you, sorry, I went through. We still don't have a report.
It was
So a year
emailed,
ago,
it was emailed to everyone from the township administrator, Jim. I can find the email, but everyone did, people get it. It was in a daily report from Jim.
it said a total amount, and it said that Lisle Township is about 11% of the total
no,
amount.
numbers.
The other question to that is that, Naperville, the city of Naperville is, donating as well. And so we know that there's overlap, but, we probably want to give something
Well,
possibly.
what was the total number? Remember? roughly?
I don't remember offhand, but I know that it was less than, our contribution in the way they spoke to it would be less than $5,000, if I'm not mistaken.
And so us giving 10. is-
Totally goes
it
over,
goes over
because I
even
think
what we're
they're at
using for usage.
$175 or $150 an annual membership. I'm getting these numbers.
This came up in the meeting when we discussed the budget. It did come up, and I did ask if
We
we had that
raise our
report.
hands, trustee Geist.
Well, I was just responding to her. I had to raise my hand I wasn't asking a question. I made a point.
Yeah.
She spoke to it. I was responding to her. That's not a whole other conversation to raise my hand or a talking point. I was just telling her, it came up in our
Yeah.
budget meeting. We talked about how we don't have reports. We need a report of actual numbers of usage. It doesn't make sense to just keep putting 10, especially when we already are looking at some real
We need to come.
deficit numbers.
Yeah.
I have to raise my hand again. She's still talking, I paused.
I'm raising my hand to let people know that I'm gonna speak next. So keep going, trustee Geist.
Okay. I lost my own thought, like you just.
Well, I know you want to speak, but I just want to clarify a couple things. Clerk Polowitz, you're exactly right. IMRF. We talked to the accountant today to try to get a sense of that, and what was discussed is creating, we're not sure where the elected officials, IMRF and FICAS are included, if they're in the assessor or if they're in the township. So what we talked about, the suggestion from the county firm was to create new budget lines for FICA and IMRF under the elected official salaries, so we do have to look at the numbers, IMRF, no question, because they are a percentage of salary. So it should be straightforward. So, yeah, I agree completely. The other thing is, I know that the assessor provided some budget information. And I know you're waiting to see the actuals as well, to see if they have to be in any part of discussion around those. So I know the township administrator was looking for time with you.
And it should be noted that in order for me to sit down and talk with the administrator, I have to have access to QuickBooks, which we've been requesting and not been receiving.
Okay, so that's tied to that.
My delay in this, I'm not going to suggest I'm not, it's not on me.
Yeah, I wasn't calling.
No, I appreciate it. I want everybody to understand that I'm willing to sit down and talk with you, but I have one arm tied behind my back when I don't know what the numbers are.
Okay. So I agree. we have to look at these numbers tighter, before the 25th to get, and this is the budget. This is the budget. So IMRF definitely, follow-on meetings. So I just want to say that there will be more changes to this before the 25th. Do we want to have another finance committee meeting? I'm hearing yes. Okay, so, specifically around this budget, correct?
I would, yeah, I would hope if you are looking at the numbers or visiting the numbers, what is a good day?
Okay,
Next
next Wednesday.
Wednesday, that's Wednesday. How early can we go? I know
I'm not available.
Next
So,
Wednesday.
Okay,
Yeah.
Committee.
So
yeah, finance committee.
can we do
Next,
3 o'clock when Jim's here too?
I think that would be great.
he's usually gone by 2.
We can possibly ask him to
Yeah,
adjust the
does a little
schedule,
flex time.
right? Did it, oh, attorney, or, sorry, trustee guys stepped out for a minute, so we should validate with her. So and I know, I don't think, I think it was just the trustees actually who were at the last meeting, right, with the township administrator. So, Clerk Paul, you're welcome to attend, or you want to share your thoughts now?
There on March 20th, and I didn't get any paperwork till this. Supervisor Hewitt, you wanted to talk.
So, I'll send everybody and I was just about to print out, Kim White's, report, the piece to note that's different from the CNC. And what was given is $5,000 just got the former board, tickets to a gala. Now what the difference is that about 45 people get, either a full tuition or a half tuition, to seek services from the Career Networking Center. So it's more for the community, of the people. That's really the difference in the $5,000, is what those 45 people actually receive. So, and the report I'm printing out, like I said, for you all. So if you missed it in the.
How much is it 150 or 125?
It's 125.
So it's, you
Yes.
said 45 people times 125 equals, that's 5625. Wait, I mean, even, my question is even, I'm sorry, you're trying to get through. My question is even, do we give the donation to them or do we hold it off as a stipend as people want it? And then we could give it to them as a stipend. So if we don't have 45 people that actually go, then we've saved some money. Or the other part is if we get more, we could decide what we want to do with that too. So that's just throwing all those out there.
I think that's a really fair point. We discussed this last year.
Okay.
We tried to reduce it last year and then we were encouraged not to do it. But the numbers just don't, the numbers don't add up. It just doesn't, the dollars have to make sense. So we're at a point where it has to make sense.
And we're not 100% clear that they're Lisle Township residents only. They could be
Correct.
Naperville.
Trustee Robinson.
There was discussion of a finance committee meeting next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Does that meet with yours? Is that aligned? Specifically to talk budget that we're gonna present on the 23rd. What would work for you?
I'll wait.
Okay, perfect. So we'll set a finance committee.
I have a couple others here.
And do you want to wait for the finance
I'm
committee
not gonna
meeting?
be there, so if I could just throw
Okay.
them out, because this is the first time I get to see it, is because the drafts don't get sent. So the mental health board, here's my question. They have, whatever the number ends up being for the end of the year, we have $75,000 of this year, and they owe us. Yeah, I think you said you're gonna spend like 30,000 last year. It looks a lot less, but by the end of the year on the amended budget, they're gonna end up owing us money, right? Shouldn't that be offset with income? Because they're gonna be giving us back the money.
There was a discussion as to how to handle that with the accounting firm. They weren't quite sure that was the right way to book it. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, if you could double check that, because it makes sense that we've given them a loan. And then they're going to get levy money, hopefully, and then we need we need our money back, whatever it ends up being that we spent. So that would be income.
This one.
I don't know how else, no one's, no. Okay,
Maybe recoveries. I don't think it would be a direct offset in that budget line. I think it's what they said. You wouldn't directly offset.
What's in?
It's
what
income.
the last year-
That's what I'm trying to say.
The
No one's
recovery, right?
listening.
Yeah, right.
And,
Okay,
and the other thing is, why do we have $45,000 in there? Or 40, I think it's 45,900 if they're getting their levy money in just a couple months.
what I heard is they need that to run from April through June before they get
April
their,
through June, $45,900.
that was the number I was asked to put in this budget. Maybe
And so when would it be repaid?
same time when they get their levy.
So we would get I think this needs to be in writing. Because we,
invoice
from
them?
1 year to the next, and I'm not saying do it, don't do it, whatever, but we keep losing track of how we're supposed to do this.
Mhm.
So they don't even necessarily have their own section because it's just kind of all put into here, so I would look back at the mental health and make sure you put an income in there because we need that money back.
Okay.
And that would be the 45,900 and it would be the at least $18,267.19.
Okay. Thank you.
18,200.
I'm not 100% sure about
Just
the,
recall,
I have $18,267.19, and that was the last budget to actual that I could see. So it's gonna be more than that. And I think you had mentioned like it might be 30 by the end of the fiscal year. So, but that's where we're at now. So
Okay.
at least 18,000.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions around budget, please send emails. and
Yeah, I
we'll-
have a couple others. I do have a question for food pantry operations that are, wait a minute. No, it's GA. The food pantry is at 40, food pantry, I'm so sorry, where are we? 20, that's GA, right?
Yes, yes.
That's food assistance. I know how this sounds, but we are spending like $40,000 for GA for food. And we have a food pantry. So my question is, do we really need to spend all that 40,000, which is higher? I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I just had it up for a while. I didn't wait to-
I'll write it down.
No, that's a good point. No, this is.
Trustee Geist.
That's, I think the point Clerk Phillips is making is valid. We have a food pantry. Why are we still buying gift cards for food? I think we should really look at that. The second thing is, I wanted to see. Going back to the, really quickly, going back to the, Career Counseling Center. Sorry, when you do that, I lose my whole train of thought. The Career Counseling Center, is there a way to ask them, it's easy to say 11% or Lisle Township. I think it's fair that we see a list of the actual membership and their residential address in a report. It's not, I don't think that's a secret. I think it'd be really good to know. And I do like the idea of giving them 5,000. And then if there's more, then we revisit that. Going back to this, where obviously she's not here to ask the question. What instance would there be where we would hand someone a food card from Jewel, say, versus directing them to the food pantry? That's what I'm not clear about. What would that instance be?
Okay, so the difference is general assistance is when somebody qualifies by the, I can send you the report as to how somebody qualifies for general assistance, but it's very stringent on how you qualify for general assistance. As opposed
Oh, I know,
to
that's
the food pantry in which you self-attest that you need assistance with food. So the state of Illinois requires self-attestment. That's very different than having the needs-based piece that we do as a township. So they're apples and oranges as to how you qualify. Meaning that with the GA, you have to prove that need, and that's how you get the gift cards to Jewel. Or it's not gift cards, it's vouchers. Trustee Geist.
But why can't we direct them to the food pantry? Because one of
We
the
do.
things that I was taught.
She does.
From the
So,
beginning.
so she does.
Wait,
She
wait.
literally
But I
helps
raised my
people.
hand.
Okay,
So-
so I'm explaining that she does
I wanna finish the
directly
question. Can you finish the
channel them to the food pantry. Yes, trustee guys.
So as part of that question. When you, if they are able to use the food, we were taught from the beginning that our dollar, our purchasing power was greater. So it was always better to donate money to the pantry than food, because they could get more with that dollar. So my point is, why would we give someone a gift card? If we have so much stronger buying power, why wouldn't we use that money to buy more food? And then have more food available in the pantry for those people who qualify?
Because again, these are very different ways that you would be able to access the food. If you go into Jewel, you have a whole lot more options of things that you cannot get at the food pantry. Say you, for example, just toiletries, that one piece. You have a whole lot more options to go to Jewel and figure out what you would prefer, than going to the food pantry. So sometimes, and again, this is apples and oranges as to some people that are very close on their budget cannot meet the hours that we have. And this is very much, again,
But we've adjusted our hours to accommodate them.
I would just ask, and I
Just
would ask,
Clerk Powell.
thank you, Attorney Seckler, who decides what the numbers are in this general assistance expense budget?
In the budget,
Yeah, the budget based off of a levy, but yes, the budget, who decides the numbers there?
the entire board.
Correct.
Right.
So if we did not want food assistance to be 40,000 and say, and I'm picking a number, I'm not saying we do this. But if we want that number to be 20,000, because we are over budget by 29,100. If we want that to be 20,000, we could change that to 20,000, and we could also offer them, hey, we also have a food pantry for some others.
And give
We're
them
not being,
emergency-
that question is, we're not being dictated by the state, by how much funding we have to give them. We're being dictated that they either qualify or they don't. Correct? Like our rental assistance, we don't have to give $1,500. We could give $700 or $750 like the other townships are doing.
And there's a lot of qualifications that get to that $1,500. So a single person, for example, cannot get $1,500. You can only get $1,500 if you have a whole lot of people in your family and the rental needs that would qualify with that. Trustee Robinson.
Well, great discussion. I agree completely. What about a suggestion, but we invite, Michelle Spadavecchia to come and speak to the finance committee, right? And tell us a bit about how these programs are, how they align with what the state requirements are, and what these look like. So I know we had some questions around.
And she answered my email. I don't have access to my township email from my phone, but I will forward it to everybody tomorrow. She had some pretty good information about how
Yeah.
to determine.
So I think that would
My
help.
only goal with this is we are 29,100 in the red for the GA. We're deficit spending for that levy. And we're also deficit spending by a tune of 270,000 total. Total for the whole thing. So I rather not dip into reserves that, we don't have like we used to purposefully. So let's start getting in line. So let's try to balance this.
And so, trustee Robinson, wasn't this question actually raised with, the township administrator, in the last meeting with you? And didn't he say that in order for us to spend down and in order for us to actually have a budget that would allow us not to be constantly accruing, money, which is where we were at, meaning that in the first year of 21 to 22, the first 2 years of 21 to 23, we actually accrued over $1 million in savings because we were not overly spending. This would allow
That
us
means
to,
we're overtaxing.
and here's the reality is that we're not likely to even spend this amount of money because there's cushions added that would allow it to be likely a balanced budget. And yes.
We'll look towards that.
Then why did we raise the taxes by 5%? if we were accruing money at that point, at that rate.
Because we need to actually make sure that we are creating a safety net that
You
is
have to have it
strong
both
enough.
ways.
No, you really can have a safety net, a social safety net that is strong enough to catch people when they're hungry and when they are facing eviction. That's what a
But you
township
just
is.
said that we were accruing because we weren't spending, but then you said it's okay to raise taxes. I think everyone understands what's happening.
So finance committee meeting?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
You're gonna invite Michelle, right? But I still think something for us to be thinking about. It's not about, it doesn't take anything away from people. Our buying power is stronger with our own cash than giving someone a voucher. So we would be able to have more food available in the pantry for those people. We would actually better serve our community with our buying power than spending money. They don't have the same buying power with that voucher that we have. So maybe we should have some of those personal care items in our pantry. And then we're still helping people, but we're not, you know what I mean? It'll cut where we need to cut, but we're not like taking anything away because we're able to take that money. Do you know what I'm
Still
saying?
help
Because
them.
our-
Talking about
Yeah,
reapplying.
Still help them.
Okay,
Right,
good.
okay.
Thank you all.
All right.
Okay,
Quick question.
and then trustee
Sorry,
McGovern.
Just one thing, while revisiting this before the finance committee meeting. Item number 10, 13, 20, the bank service charges. Haven't those changed? Will we be able to reduce some of those quite a bit?
I thought that accounting said, I thought I saw an email float somewhere, that
Yeah.
accounting said that we could get those down to next to nothing.
Okay,
Did anybody else recall that?
yeah, I don't recall the exact number, but I know it is lower.
So what,
I can find it or ask Jim.
yeah, no, so what I'd heard is this, so Kelly and Jacob are gonna look at it. This may be because we're in money market funds, which which have an element of administrative fees.
Yeah.
But they're generating 5% return.
Right.
So I think we have to look at it.
Yeah,
It
right.
may be effectively, it looks like we're paying this, but so I think they said they would look at it, but I think that is maybe why we are where we are right now.
Okay, thank you. I just want to understand that.
Right.
Yes, you're right. In my memory, trustee Robinson. Okay, any other discussion on the item number 18 or 17? Then we'll go to the road district.
Sent out several spreadsheets. The last one I hope was correct.
Was the one after the second one?
Yeah. No, the second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's make sure I know the last one.
And I added my capital accumulation fund to the budget. Because I think it's easier to see it that way than off in a separate piece of paper. I did put it down on the second page of the spreadsheet of how much it was for. It's $1,000,007. The fuel station is still the biggest piece. I still have $973,000 in there. I don't think it's going to be that much. We've scaled back the tanks.
You're welcome.
But I'm reluctant to cut that accumulation back because you don't know until you dig and see whether there's any contamination. We don't think there is, but I added some money in the capital accumulation fund for Ivanhoe. I think that I've got to address that issue in some fashion. I'm not sure how to do it. We're starting to talk to the engineers about different platforms to slow the speed down. I'm still trying to work with Lisle to get the right turns onto and off of. Well, right turn off onto restricted and right turn, makes everybody turn right when you get to one. Ultimately, there's this program developed through the DuPage mayors and managers committees. The money flows from the feds to the state, then it gets distributed to the municipalities through the DuPage Mayors and Managers Association. That's where a township were pretty low on the list. So the money goes to municipalities first, but I think I can get some support from Lisle and hopefully Downers Road. You get on that. That way we could put sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and all sorts of calming devices that the federal government would pay. I think it's 80 to 85%.
Right.
It's got to be a certain kind of street. It's got to be a connector street. between two main thoroughfares. Although it's still classified as a residence, but yeah, I added 250 for that. He wants, Marty wants to buy a skids here that we do need, and we still have the two vehicles for, and we still have a new car for me and a new car for Marty in the capital accumulation. I'll quickly run through what's changed by more than $50,000, if that's okay. Because most of the costs, and I didn't send that out, I will send it out shortly. If you take what's personnel and you take what's bid, that's over 75%, I think. I got the exact number, 6. The discretionary spend is very, okay. So let me go through quickly on the spreadsheet I sent out. I sent it out by fund. The first one, I increased group health insurance. First, because I think I'm going to add an employee. We've been successful in running very, very lean, but I think we've got to look at succession planning as well. The guys are getting older. And it's difficult. Yeah, he is. We've got to get some new blood in that will continue what we have done in the past. Don't want to add more. Okay, that's up. And then the capital accumulation, but I'm not speaking very well. Permanent road, I increased it by 125,000 because we're doing more roads. Today at the highway commissioners meeting, some people have received their bids already. Asphalt prices are up. So I'm gonna have to increase it more. Our initial was around 600, maybe a little less than that. But with the increase, I think we're gonna have to take that from 600 to 675 to be sure. And that's all bid. There's nothing I can do other than not pay some notes. It's just. So it looks like it's. And this is compared to actual so far this year. So I put on 75,000. Year to date, we've only spent $24,000. Some of that is because we didn't take the salt until last month, 2 weeks ago. Yes. 2 weeks ago. So we haven't got those invoices. And there's two things. One, I know I'm gonna use much salt this year, but I guarantee prices are going. That's what happens. It's weird. And we're due for a hell of a winter. So I'm gonna be able to buy on it. So we're due. I do have in there $150,000 to develop a tree placement. I'm not sure I can do it. But I think I can go through and develop a replacement plan. I think I can do that and get some, the Arboretum involved. I talked to a former employee there. And perhaps get that done and perhaps get a group purchasing program together where the residents could buy the tree and we would group buy them together.
So like, is there a possibility of like I have a whole thing that you guys.
Yep.
Like, can we get wholesale pricing for trees?
Yeah, well, I think, we tried in the past to join the tree consortium that all the municipalities do. I'm not sure if Lisle does it. But they replaced many of the trees for free. At one point in time, I went down far enough where they told us, no, you can't join. Because we didn't meet some of the front, I'm not quite sure. But we're reinvestigating that, because that membership or the volume of trees going through that consortium seems to have dropped off. So I'm thinking, well, maybe they want to get rid of more trees. And I'll buy some if I can. So we're not quite sure how. We're just.
Is that even open yet?
It is. And.
So Arboretum is not open.
I don't know about that. We opened Ivanhoe. I think if people listen to me, what I said I would open Ivanhoe when the lot was clear and when the houses were safe. The houses are safe and the county, well, I got me angry now. They told me they were gonna clean it up within a week. 2 weeks. What happened, I think, is they started that process to, force them to clean it up. It's a 14-day letter. After 14 days, you don't do anything. I take you to the administrative process, and then the county will do it and put a lien on the property. Right? It's a mess. And somehow that has gotten delayed. But we went down there and pushed the pile of stuff back and moved the fence back off the right of way. I know people think that there's no risk with the fence in the right of way, but I vehemently disagree. A car hits, I don't care how small a fence it is, going 75 miles an hour, you're gonna have some damage. Yeah, so once that happened, I did open.
Thank you.
Didn't want to, but I did. What's it, it's going down in front of 32, it's less than 50 to 20,000, I reinstated. I hope to reinstate the sheriff patrols we pay, special patrols to go to various areas to monitor the speed and issue tickets. My problem in the past was they weren't issuing the tickets. So I'm working with the sheriff and hopefully we'll get some agreement that if they're going this fast, that they got it. And I don't care if it's simple, the fast system. You got it. And that's the big ones other than capital. I'm glad to answer any questions. We expect to have, asking the trustees to come to the May meeting a few minutes early so we can have a public hearing. That we have to, by the way. If that works. And of course, we'll be refining this some.
We'll make a motion to approve. Allow Township Road District's budget sheet fiscal year 2024.
Thank you, trustee. Guys,
Tentative,
Yeah.
tentative, and yeah.
Tentative budget.
Second?
thank you, trustee McGovern. Any other discussion? And a roll call vote?
Trustee Geis.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, reports of elected officials, Highway Commissioner Young,
I have nothing.
Assessor Trowbridge,
Thank you.
trustee Geis.
Before I send this email to Janine at Willowbrook Ford, I just want to confirm once more that you two, she told you that her and I never spoke about the process of me securing a check, taking it to them and reversing the charge on your credit card. Before I send this email, because I don't want to, I want to make sure that that's what you said.
I said Gina.
Who's
So
Gina?
the person that I spoke with that is apparently the person that, I'm not entirely sure, so I'm just
Janine,
saying.
I have her email here.
Okay,
that we
I
got
spoke
back and
with
forth.
Gina.
Okay, so if you knew that I had been working with someone at the Willowbrook Board, wouldn't you ask me for their contact information?
I again was trying to solve the situation and I called several people at Willowbrook Ford and the person that I spoke with the longest was Gina.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that, it's very frustrating to me that I took personal time to try to resolve this matter so that we could get you your credit card reversed. And you circumvented the work that I did by talking to someone who had no idea what you were talking about. And at the beginning of the meeting, made it, implied very strongly that I did not have, that they had no idea what I was talking about. But I've had multiple emails with Janine at Willowbrook Ford, who is the head of that department. She's the head of it. That's why they referred me to her. So the fact that you had multiple conversations with someone named Gina, who for all I know could be a cashier. I don't know who that person is, but the person who I worked with, you, instead of doing the right thing and just saying, hey, Autumn, who did you talk to so I can find out what's going on? Or, hey, Autumn, what's going on? You went around me and talked to somebody who had no idea what you were talking about and made it look like I had not done the work that I did. I find that incredibly egregious, but not yet surprising, because what I'm learning is that most of the time when you are saying something, it's not the full whole truth, which I'm gonna ask you again, please, in these open meetings, I need you to tell the full whole truth, because it's getting completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. I worked really hard to make sure that we could do this. To make sure you could get your money back on your credit card. And you circumvented the work that I did in such a petty and small way. And I'm waiting for my apology from last month where you lied about me and had all of those people come to a meeting sad and upset and complaining because you had given them a mistruth, which we played on the video was not what happened. I asked for an apology. You know, it's a really crazy thing. We all make mistakes. We all do. We're all human. We all make mistakes. You've made mistakes, big, small, all kinds. I've made mistakes, big, small, closing a small business myself because I couldn't keep it going. I've made mistakes. But you know what the difference is? I own it. I want the apology and I'm not gonna let it go. Just like you lied about me having to come here to look at a video. That's not what happened. I have it in an email. I sent it to Attorney Seckler. He was on the email. So I'm done with the lying. If you want this board to move forward, if you want no more drama, Trustee Page, if you want no more drama, Trustee Robinson, look at your supervisor and tell her to quit lying. That's my report. Oh, and I'm still calling for your resignation based on the vote of no confidence that the unanimously this board called for in September of 2023 because of this type of behavior. And you know why we're over budget? Because you spend hours on attorney and accounting fees. Because you use our last attorney as if they were your personal assistant. That's why we're in financial trouble. Anybody who wants to look at the numbers can see that. Have you no shame?
Okay, it's been 3 minutes. Anything else? Trustee McGovern?
Last meeting, monthly meeting, I requested for an item to be put on the agenda. And I also put it in writing, and it is not on the agenda. The 2 board contact approval for use of legal. That is in the recording from last monthly meeting, and I texted you, the Friday prior to Friday when the agenda came out, last Wednesday. But you agreed to it last monthly meeting. And I think the board was our witness, so I'm very disappointed that that is not on the agenda. I don't feel like it's transparent, and I think it's something that we need to visit.
Trustee Page.
Yeah, we have coffee with the trustees, Monday, March 25th, 9 to 10 a.m. Pete's Coffee, which is at 686 East Ogden Avenue. It's corner of Columbia and Ogden. This month it'll be Trustee Robinson and myself. And food pantry garden planning meeting, Sunday, April 7th, 10 a.m. here. I know, we're starting.
One more time, Pete's Coffee, when is it?
Monday, March 25th.
9 to 10.
It's just 1 week off.
Yeah, because of the election.
And I'll be able to.
Oh, good.
Okay, Trustee Robinson?
Yeah, I would like us to focus on our residents and how we can be more impactful in their lives. I think the budget's gonna speak to that. You know, we've got a new team in place, right? We've got a new finance team. We've got a new interim township administrator. We're kind of forming and storming still. I'd like to settle down to the extent I can to, and we have reduced expenditures for outside legal services. If you looked at last month's audit of expenses. And so I think I'd like us to move forward as a group in the year. So, whatever we can do to make that happen. And I'm not discounting anything that any of the other trustees have said about the behavior, or about the perceived, non-response from the supervisor. I think there's things that the supervisor is going to have to do differently to re-engage with the board. But whatever we can all do, please.
Perceived.
I'm sorry.
Perceived, oh, that's kind of insulting, because we
Oh.
have our agenda item. It's not
Well-
perception.
Well, because he doesn't get offended. He doesn't get lied about.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay,
And the last question.
Trustee McGovern, and we're going through the elected officials reports. Highway Commissioner Young, what is their question?
I have a question of the attorney. You have a report with respect to the investigation into the highway commissioner and road district.
I don't know. If you want, if this, I can speak to what has been looked at so far. I spoke with the former council and got a little bit more background. Basically, my understanding is the former accountant, when she came on, looked at was looking through records and noticed one thing in payroll that didn't look, it was something to do with payroll. She looked into it further. She said she was gonna provide a report. She never did. And ultimately, it was concluded that there was no issue. So there is no, there's
There's no issue?
no, correct.
Is the matter closed?
Yes, there's no
Is the
current
matter
pending.
closed, Supervisor Hewitt?
What was the summary?
I don't have any information or else it would have been known. So,
Well, that's not what you
um,
said at the last meeting.
again, I don't have any information.
Is the
There
matter
is no,
closed?
again, I wasn't doing the investigation.
You asked for the
You have the
investigation.
responsibility to conclude the investigation.
I wasn't doing the investigation at all.
Could you conclude the investigation
There
right now?
isn't an investigation.
What was the summary of the investigation?
Well,
I never got with it.
that,
Then why did you
There's
say
just-
that there was an investigation?
It's past tense, was. Attorney, Sinclair.
other than there is no
When is it
investigation.
closed? Closed? I think I have a right to know.
Sir, we're gonna speak respectfully. I'm trying to explain to you what I know. And there is, it is closed there is no, I don't know when it was closed because the former accountant was supposed to issue a report and never did. And issue a small sum, and that would have officially, that I could have then timed that and tell you that's when it would be closed but she never did. So it's closed. There is no investigation. There is nothing pending. There is no,
So you don't know what it was about, other than with paper.
it was with respect to payroll records, yeah. That was,
Was there any impropriety with respect to that?
to my knowledge, no. And based on what was explained.
But we paid to investigate our own team.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the former
You
accountant,
talked to the former attorney,
correct.
and did she say the investigation was closed?
Yeah, she indicated that nothing was. When she left, there was nothing currently going on. Or pending. Other than at that point, still waiting for waiting for something written from the former accountant, but
Or did she verbally tell the former attorney what the issue was, and was it open? What was she gonna do? You know, this is very troubling to me. I mean, my reputation has been tarnished. And I don't think that's right.
I mean. All I'm trying to explain is what, and based on what this is what I've been told. Is that it was just looking at records and it almost is routine, going through records as the accountant. Seeing something that looked off, looking at it further and finding out that it was, so.
So she found out there was nothing there? Is
That
what you
there,
think?
it
Is that
wasn't,
what you said?
that's my understanding, right? I can't
Can somebody say that?
say
Can
what,
you say that there was no impropriety involved with the payroll records?
I haven't looked at anything, I'm not gonna tell it. But that's what I've been told, I'm trying to report to you what without breaking any confidences and going out of privilege. That is what.
Now, that even throws more shade on.
What? I'm not going to talk about,
You can't share.
I can't share it. You are not my client. Nor is it appropriate for a public meeting. With individual specific conversations about very specific things. Be happy to talk about it with each of the trustees individually or the supervisor individually for my clients and members of this board. Not you. I'm doing
Me
this as a
too.
courtesy
Me
as well
too.
as Madam Clerk. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was-
I know.
Seckler, I can understand, where Highway Commissioner Young is coming from. It's very difficult to have, and this is why, and I understand trustee Robinson's goal. I really do. This is no.
So we're in
get what he's
elected
saying.
officials reports.
I'm talking,
is this a
this
part
is part of it.
of
And
the
I'm
elec-
talking to Attorney Seckler. Can I talk to him? You talk to him. Can I talk to him?
Okay,
So
we're
Attorney
into
Seckler, I
2
think the
minutes.
challenge that we have as
3
elected
minutes.
officials is we've been entrusted to do the right thing. And when our reputations are tarnished because of misinformation, untruths, lies, it's very, very frustrating. And it's very easy to go through life and say, well, it doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter if we know the truth. No, it doesn't work. It's not that simple. Because once that is out there in the community, it's very difficult to reverse. And when I can't get an apology or correction on it, even though we showed a video, that's a problem. You have no control over that. But you do have to understand where someone would come from, that if their office was under investigation by the township, why they would be frustrated. I just want to point that out to you. That's all. I just understand where he's coming from. Because I know what that feels like. And I know what it feels like when nobody else on your team understands what it feels like because they're not going through it, right? So I get it. You won't feel it until you feel it. But I promise you, it will happen to everybody at some point.
I understand, and I'm trying to express and explain.
No, I hear you.
Because, you know,
No, you don't
you know.
explain further. We heard you. I'm just trying to have to argue because he's here. So I was just trying to.
I understand that the accountant made a complaint on a report, verbal report somehow to the supervisor. There may have been improprieties with respect to payroll. And the is that your understanding?
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Doesn't the supervisor have an obligation to investigate that, come to some sort of conclusion and tell the trustee?
Yeah,
And tell me.
that's what I want to know what the summary was.
I mean, doesn't that have to occur?
That should, yeah, and
It has
that
to occur.
doesn't have to, but it should, yeah.
Okay.
Can we
And
have
so-
that?
I would ask the trustees to instruct the supervisor to conclude the investigation and report back to you as soon as possible.
I think it's fair.
Okay, again, I didn't ever get any reports. So, moving on into,
My turn for public.
actually, it's my turn
Oh,
for
okay.
public, for elected officials reports. And so,
You had a supervisor report.
You're an elected official. You're not a reporter.
okay, so again, I get 3 minutes for the elected official because I am an elected official. And yes, I do.
No one gets three
And
cuts.
trustee Geist, you're very mistaken
I'm
in
out of
you
order.
saying that I am constantly lying. It's just not true. Trustee McGovern, I apologize.
Slide.
I did not see
Did you
the
just
time
apologize to her?
that you had
Did she
texted
just
me.
apologize to you?
Again, I apologize for not seeing that text. I generally, please, if you're giving me an agenda item, when I'm sending out the agenda via email, please email me. And I am checking my email
Well, I thought it-
religiously.
You wrote it down.
I
The
did
bias,
not.
I'm sorry, the
My-
bias you demonstrate against
Trustee
me, against
Geist.
the only person of color on this board is no longer
Trustee
tolerable.
Geist.
And I will be seeking my legal report with my counsel.
Trustee
Do
Geist.
not apologize to me for lying to me in the community, but you will apologize to her for a mix.
Trustee Geist, you're out of order.
Yes.
And
I am.
again, I am a person
I
of
can't
color
wait for your court
myself.
date.
Again, I am a person of color. So you keep saying that
Diane?
you're a person, the only
Diane?
person of color.
Diane,
And I am as
and
well.
isn't it sad that a person of color would treat another
Trustee
person of color
Geist,
that way?
you are out of
Shame
order.
on you.
And I am
Where's
out
my
of time
apology?
myself. So
Where's
at
my
10
Motion to
o'clock,
adjourn.
No, could I, we have
Um,
some time?
we have a motion to adjourn.
No, never mind.
Do we have a second?
Where's my apology? You're just gonna, you guys are okay with that?
Okay.
No.
Motion to adjourn. Any
No, no.
We did not.
But you're
not
not
okay with it.
Okay, no
Okay.
seconds. Clerk Polowitz, your motion. or your elected
Part of
time.
mine is, trustee Geist, we are with you and we prefer you to come back. So that, I'm just saying that there. The issue becomes for, Commissioner Young, that you had a past attorney who was very much part of an investigation in him. Then we look recently and you're getting paid for part of conversations of investigations of Commissioner Young. So it's ongoing. And then at the last meeting, Supervisor Hewitt doesn't say it's over. Supervisor Hewitt says, I just never got a report, so I don't know. Leaving it still out there, that sense of impropriety, oh my gosh, whatever you did, it's still out there because now two attorneys are involved in this and there's no conclusion. So I would reiterate that what you say and ask for the trustees to ask for a formal conclusion from the supervisor to make sure he's cleared of all of this. If you didn't get a report, get whatever more report you do and clear it. Also, with trustee McGovern, she did ask at the past meeting, and then I called it to your attention, but you said I was late, which I wasn't even asking for anything on the agenda. I was telling you what you had missed, you didn't put on an agenda. She already texted you. You have to abide by this. You want to go by the meeting rules. That is the meeting rule. That you have to put something on if they're asking you to. I also, with all due respect, trustee Robinson, I understand how you want to move forward. We all so want to move forward from this, but we know the past and you know it too, but we know that we still need the tight reins on this. The taxpayer money is extremely important to me, how it's being spent. And we have one time after another, how it's being misspent and,
Trustee
for,
Robinson.
I'm talking. Excuse me, I'm talking.
Keep going.
No, supervisor has asked for my help to continue running the meeting. So, sorry, this is not a reflection of.
Why are you running?
Why is that allowed?
What's going on?
Why is that allowed?
Why is he running the meeting?
Sorry,
He's not
I
going to be
misspoke.
running the
I
meeting.
misspoke.
He is doing the Zoom.
I misspoke.
And I have a job that needs dogs to be let out. And so again, a meeting to midnight, I cannot do. I have another job that again.
I clear my schedule.
Right.
I clear my schedule.
Okay.
Let's just
And
get.
so-
Meetings to adjourn. Motion to
I would like
adjourn.
to hear
You
the
can-
rest
you know,
of the
Zoom
clerk's
going.
report.
I thought you-
You have done this all night.
I thought
trustee
you were
Robinson.
finished.
All night long, you have cut me off. So,
Sorry?
but I know you appreciate me. So, okay, I'm done. I've gotten here.
Two quick things.
Motion to adjourn from
Okay.
trustee Robinson.
No.
Yeah.
It's adjourned.
That's not
There was
voted
no
on yet, but
second.
Hasn't been
There was
seconded.
no
It hasn't
second.
been seconded.
Okay.
Ross,
I did talk to, in my speaking to the former attorney, she agreed that she would be willing to prepare a short summary, a written summary. I just want to get authorization to do that and ask her to do that because, it would cost money for her to do that. If you want that. If not, I can also, try that and help the supervisor put something put together that kind of outlines.
Well, this is why I asked for two people to approve by a board. If you're asking for an investigation,
Well, yeah, but
we
that's,
should have some information before that starts, before committing to such a financial exploration or
it's
whatever.
more if you
it may
want something
be.
in writing,
Yeah, so
I just an
once
idea.
again, I am asking for that on the agenda and I think that needs to be in place just to secure
the
our
25th is
finances.
a meeting, right? The 25th is a meeting?
It's a special meeting.
Yeah,
And
it's a
so
special
Get it on that agenda.
again, what I would like is whatever agenda items to be put in writing, please email me and I'll make sure that happens.
It was not her fault.
I did
She
not
asked for it at
read
the
the
meeting.
text. Again,
It was
I
at the meeting.
apologize
It was at
that
the
I did
last
not
meeting.
see
Let's
the
move
exact.
on
text.
from that.
And then second, the Illinois Township Attorneys Association is having its annual seminar. The Legislative Council, as well as myself, will be speaking. It is May 16th and 17th at Hanover Township. So it's not that far away. And there is an elected official
Admit me,
rate.
admit me if you.
Yeah.
That's all. I just wanted to make sure.
What time?
the May 16th is an evening reception type thing, and then the all day on the 17th. There'll be a lot of really great topics. Like I said, Carrie Linden will be speaking. A lot of other attorneys will be speaking.
Continue.
There you go. And get this
And I will
done.
join myself.
Where's that continue?
Thank you.
This too. This. Yeah. And I will return in 45 minutes. You have, okay, great. You have the, for the executive session as well.
This was still ready? Still ready?
Yep.
I should turn off audio.
Are we breaking up into executive session?
No,
Okay, what was next? Sorry, so who's running the meeting?
you are.
Okay, that's not appropriate.
Well, I'm sorry, I can still run it. I just have to go see some dogs that are needing to go out. And our rules require us to have a vote at 10 o'clock as to whether we're continuing on. Our attorney is,
The talk actually, in 5 minutes, we can be done with this in 5 minutes.
yeah.
Okay, wait, for old business.
there's the executive session too. If we'll be done in 5 minutes, I can continue this.
Yeah.
Consent agenda.
Did we do old business and new business?
Old business.
Nothing.
All right. I might be out of order, but trustee Robinson said that, both the attorney bill and the, E&K consulting bill was on the approval of bill of claims.
Yeah.
It's in there, okay, and it has been, they have been approved because I couldn't find them in the minutes. In the board packet.
It is.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, any other old business? Any other new business?
I'm just gonna say that I took a long chance on tonight. I stuck my neck out. I'm probably gonna take a lot of heat for it. Don't disappoint me. I don't want to hear one report that you have overspent or done anything incorrect going against that purchasing policy that we just approved tonight. Please don't disappoint me.
Any other new business?
Yeah, I would like to put on the agenda for the next meeting, the March 26th, for amendments to the purchasing policy.
25th,
25th,
25th Monday.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, please send them in writing and we can add them.
Would you write it down?
So through an email, please send me your words that
Okay.
you would prefer. That
Okay.
way we can all be on the same page as to what
As
you
an
would like.
FYI, that's not in the meeting rules. It says if you say it at a meeting, it's good enough, but I'll send you it in writing.
Can
But I don't
trustees
think it
direct the
works.
Supervisor to put it on the agenda.
Yes.
It's not that hard.
Will the trustees direct her
Yeah.
to put it on the agenda?
Yeah.
Can we move on?
Great. Any other new business? Consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for February 14th, Lisle Township regular meeting 2024, and the February 22nd special Lisle Township meeting in 2024. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Next is the executive session.
Before we go in, the trustees have all, and the board has all received these minutes individually. They've also received, my recommendations about what to do. The board still wants to go into executive session to further review them. It is welcome to, of course, and it's the board's decision. The board can also make the just action item determinations.
I believe someone will executive committee meeting minutes pertaining to no district operation. And I don't think that you're suggesting.
All they are is to approve the actual minutes as presented.
Oh, this isn't retention?
No,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
no, and then there is on the agenda for a resolution to whether or not to release or disclose, but and the board has my recommendation with respect to what to do with all of these minutes, and it would include the continuing need for confidentiality for all of those listed. And so,
Oh, so that,
Yeah. yes.
Which does pose a question.
So do
But it's
we,
up to, we can delay if we want to do that, but I would recommend
Yeah,
approving the
do we need
minutes.
to talk about them? You
Yeah,
read
that-
them, yeah, based off of this
Yeah.
information, you can make a decision, a vote right here.
If there were any corrections to the minutes, we would discuss that in executive session. So if they're fine as presented, then we're good to proceed. If that makes.
so does anybody want to make a motion to go to executive session, or do you want to make a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the closed session minutes from April until January.
Approve to what? To keep them confidential?
Yeah.
No,
So-
Just for a minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
This would be to approve the minutes as presented in as executive session minutes, not to release them, not to do, and not making a finding either way. It's just to
Right.
approve them as minutes.
To approve them and to
And
not release.
And just to clarify, the recent PAC opinion requires the board to actually take formal action on these minutes in open session, even though they're closed session minutes. It's a weird thing. So that's why they are still confidential. We're not determining that. You have to, like regular minutes, you have to approve them.
So we have a first and a second, any other discussion? And a roll call vote?
trustee McGovern,
Yes.
trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Page, supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
No, doing approval of resolution 2024.
Sorry.
Is that included as well?
I don't know if that made it to the board PAC.
It's at the bottom of your packet.
Okay,
We just kind of took care of it. didn't we?
no, we did not.
So it's at the bottom of your packets.
This is the resolution. Make a motion to approve resolution 2024-002. Resolution reporting the determination of the Lisle Township Board regarding the review of closed session minutes pursuant to section 2.06 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act for the period ending March 14th, 2024.
I'll second.
Just, I believe it's 2003. It's, yeah, 2024-0, it should be 3.
That's 003, sorry, correction, that's 003. Resolution.
Yes. Thank you. Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yeah.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Is there a motion to adjourn? And a
Second.
second, all in favor? We are adjourned.
We have to sign it.
Yes, Davis.
If I leave, is it going to save it to file, correct? Or are you still on too?
I'm still on.
All right, I'm gonna leave, I'll let you save it. to file. What about this?
We have the audit.